Hey everybody, it's Lady Wolverton, Jen, coming at you again from New Orleans, Louisiana. Thursday night book club, Eddard 6. This is when Eddard meets Gendry at Tobo Motts shop in the Street of Steel. And we've got some really good stuff for y'all tonight. We might have some other guests popping in. We just don't know. But let me go ahead and let our lovely Sarah introduce herself. And she's going to be doing the overview tonight. What we do always is somebody goes over the chapter and then we point out any foreshadowing or anything that we think is pertinent. Sarah?
Sounds good. Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah. Thank you for introducing me. I always panic at the introduction. That is one thing I will always do. I was gonna say you can find me on Twitter, but I don't actually post a lot there. So Thursday Night Book Club on someone else's channel is probably the best place to find me. Historically, like tonight, I have bumbled through these introductions, but I actually did put some thought into what I wanted to say this evening. Basically, I'm here because I love this story and I love talking to people about this story. And I don't know how true this is for any of you, but in my real life, I feel like I'm sort of talking at people about A Song of Ice and Fire. It starts off, they're interested, and then they're like maybe a little concerned because I'm a little too into it. So I just wanted to say thank you, you two, for giving me a place to let my Ice and Fire flag fly. So thank you. That's my introduction. Eddard 6, let's do it.
Nice.
Bran? Oh,
nice,
wait,
nice,
Ricky
nice.
has popped in. Bran,
there we go.
Yourself and then Ricky.
There we go. I'm Bran the Builder. You know where I'm at. I'm everywhere. I'm an Amino on Facebook, Twitter, any other social media probably. So, yeah, find me wherever you want. Go on, Ricky.
And tonight we have special guest, Ricky Hunt. Ricky, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Ricky. That's all.
Where are you from, Ricky?
I'm from North Carolina.
All right, awesome. There seems to be a lot of hardcore Game of Thrones people from North Carolina. Smokescreen and Chris and James. Sir Hunt is from North Carolina.
Justin.
Yeah,
Justin. A lot of y'all North Carolinians love you some Ice and Fire. That's great. All right, Sarah's going to go ahead with the overview.
Okay. I am going to unmute myself. I'm not muted, right?
No, you're not.
Fantastic. So I broke the chapter into 3 parts. The first part being Ned meets with the small council. The second part being just Ned does some detective work, and the third part being Ned visits Tobo Mott. So it's Eddard 6. We last saw him just 2 chapters ago at Eddard 5, which started with Ned being manipulated by Pycelle. It ends with Ned being manipulated by Littlefinger. This one opens up to him listening to another manipulator, Janos Slynt, talk about complaining about crime and needing more men. Janos Slynt being the Lord Commander of the, was it the Lord Commander? What's his title of the City Watch? He's the commander of the City Watch.
Lord Commander of the City Watch.
Lord Commander of City Watch. So Ned's orders the small council and Littlefinger to find a way to hire more men, and he loans 20 of his own household guard, which, yeah, is hard to read. But Ned then complains about the tournament, still irritated it's being called the Hands Tourney. Pycelle says it gives people the opportunity for glory and the small folk a respite from their woes. Littlefinger says it's good for the economy. Very classy, noting that the whores are all walking around bow-legged. Renly jokes about Stannis being a prude and how he even fathered that ugly daughter of his. And if I can just say for a moment, that is your niece, sir. Like, have some respect. Everyone laughs except Ned, who wonders when Stannis is going to come back. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2, Ned returns to the Tower of the Hand, summons Jory. He's looking through the book that Jon Arryn was reading before his death. The lineages of the great houses by Grand Maester Malion. He browses a section on House Lannister, musing on their long history, the myths of their ancestor, Lan the Clever, who stole gold from the sun to brighten his hair, his blonde hair. So Jory briefs Ned on Littlefinger's leads from the last chapter. Sir Hugh is not helpful. There's a serving girl that says that Jon was reading a lot, concerned about his son, being brusque with his wife. There's a potboy who has a lot of kitchen gossip, which, is always to be taken with a grain of salt. Lord Stannis and Lord Aaron went to get some elaborate armor, and then there's a stable boy who notes that Stannis and Jon have been going out riding and then even visited a brothel together. Ned finds this very strange, and they're frustrated that anyone who might know the truth is leagues away. Ned also wonders about Renly and his easy ways, and also how he Renly showed him apparently a locket with Marjorie Tyrell in it, and was disappointed when Ned didn't agree that it looked like Lyanna. So part 3, Ned and his guardsmen travel through the Mudgate, just as showman Lord Beric Dondarrion is arriving to complete the tourney of the hand. Ned gets to the armorer wearing his sigil and his badge of office. He gets greeted. Tobo greets him as very nice, but any friendliness leaves when Ned starts asking about Gendry. He tries to buy Gendry's helmet. It's unfinished but expertly shaped. Ned asks about what Gendry and Jon talks about, notices that he looks like a young Robert. Ned tries to get Tobo to disclose who paid the apprentice fee, and Mott refuses. Ned decides he likes Tobo for this. Says if Gendry ever wants to wield a sword instead of forge one, to come find him. And as he joins his guards outside, Ned still doesn't understand what Jon Arryn wanted with the King's Bastard, nor why it led to his death. And that is the overview.
All right, good job.
Yeah, nice. Very
Good job.
nice.
Very rundown.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Well, I did very similar. I broke it up into 4 parts for us to discuss, really. First, I started with the small council meeting there. So go ahead, Ricky. You got any ideas on what's going on there? Any thoughts? Catch anything?
The small council meeting?
Yeah, during the council meeting.
I got that Renly was a dick.
Good start.
I mean, I like Renly, but I've never liked that he's bashing Shireen.
I didn't like that. I will say, though, he was the only person to say to Jaina Slint, if you can't keep the king's peace, then let's find someone else who should.
Exactly. He sure did. And in response, I noticed this. He said, Aegon the dragon couldn't keep the peace.
So, yeah. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but...
Aegon the Dragon Knight.
Yeah. Oh, was he the king?
He was the badass.
He was just a really great warrior or whatnot, but he was just basically trying to say that nobody could, that he didn't have enough men, etc. And I think this is when Ned makes one of his first big mistakes by giving 20 of his household guard.
And I can't remember, forgive me, but who is that right after the Dance of Dragons, there's a new hand from the north who just basically, he's a Stark, he comes down, he beheads everyone, and then he goes back home. Cregan.
Stark.
Janice Slint makes me wish, I mean, I know we wouldn't have a story if Ned Stark did that, but Janice Slint makes me wish that Ned just beheaded everyone suspicious and went home.
Actually, he doesn't really give that persona off yet, I don't think. In my opinion, Janice does. Not yet, anyway. It gets worse, I mean, when he gets shipped up north, but right now he's trying to do his job.
Well,
that's the way I take it, anyway. Oh, yeah, I guess that's when he really starts acting. Lannister, whatever. But I actually saw him trying to do his job, and he's just saying, look, we got so many people piling in here because of this damn tourney that I don't have enough men. I mean, what can he do?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that part. Do we ever find out who the head belonged to? Or is that important?
I couldn't. That was a detail that I like forgot about when I reread it. I'm like, how is that not a big deal? How is that not a bigger deal?
No, they never did find out who it belonged to. But let me ask y'all this. Do you think it's significant that it was found in the rainbow pool of the...
I was about to say the rainbow, that stuck out to me, especially being with Renly's rainbow guard later.
I was just thinking the body is probably in a bowl of brown somewhere, but I didn't think I don't really know what the rainbow pool is, to be perfectly honest.
It's something that goes with the religion of the seven. I would probably liken it to when you go in a Catholic church and there's a bit of holy water, and sometimes they have a fountain, and that water has also been the priest says a prayer over it, and it makes it holy water.
If you fill out.
Probably something similar to that. And George has also stated that the faith of the seven is he was raised a Catholic, but it's no longer a Catholic, and he has likened the faith of the seven to Catholicism.
Yeah, it's like the Father, Son, Holy Ghost being the same one entity.
What's the rainbow, though? Like, I know Renly and his rainbow guard. Did that have to do with the faith?
7. There's 7 colors in the rainbow.
Oh, okay. I learn something new every time I come here.
Well, they also bring up Stannis, and they start making fun of him, and Ned's just pondering.
Big fun of him. They have a laugh at his expense, and notably, the only one who doesn't laugh is Ned Stark. And at this point, he ends the council meeting, says, "I've heard enough about whores for the day," and gets up.
Yeah, he's wondering why in the hell Stannis left. If he was scared or not. I mean, what would scare Stannis enough to make him leave King's Landing? I mean, he sat and held Storm's End for a year, eating nothing but rats and boot leather, it says. So what in King's Landing could have scared him off that quick?
I mean, do we know if he... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do we know if he left before Jon Arryn died, or was it like
I think
right
it was after. I think it was
after. I think Robert...
He took off.
Yeah, I think Robert had already took off north when he left.
When he left after Robert left to go up north, I believe is what it says.
All right.
So what I'm thinking, Ricky, is that he didn't necessarily tell anybody he was going.
I mean, Aaron dropped dead, and he thought he was in danger, and he bounced.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because him and Jon Arryn, and that's also what's notable about this chapter and what Ned even takes into consideration. He says, sure, Jon Arryn and Stannis were friendly, but they were never chummy. And Ned specifically notes that to himself. And I think that's initially what makes him say, hey, let me take a ride over to the Street of Steel and this armory and see if I can make heads or tails of why they were going out on these rides.
Wow. Agirlis made a good point there. Faces ahead in the rainbow water, that's like a many faces in that pool of water in the House of Black and White.
Yes. Oh, very good point. Thank you, Aggie.
Good parallel. Damn good parallel.
Okay, Connie Cooper says Stannis saw war coming. Arya, says, okay. Okay.
And we also get Ned bitching mentally that, they're calling it the hands tourney. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He says over and over he wants out of it.
He's extremely resentful of that. In fact, I believe one of the major things that struck me is he said that them continually calling it the hands tourney was chafing him. And that was when he was walking up the stairs. So literally and figuratively, he was getting the red ass, so to speak.
I will say that Ned in this scene, like grumbling about the hands tourney and all the advisors around him talking about what a great idea it is, how it's good for the economy, how it can make how great it is for everybody. It reminds me of Dany in Marine with the fighting pits and A Dance with Dragons, and how she's like kind of disgusted by the whole thing, but she's resigned to it. But what did I write down?
That's a good correlation, though.
Yeah. Ned and Dany are not dissimilar. They get very upset at the slaughtering of children. Yeah, so I think it was more articulate in my head, but that wasn't what I had.
I know exactly how you feel. And so do most of my old college professors.
Man, I'm scrolling through my notes here real quick. See if I got anything else.
I mean, obviously the attorneys benefiting Littlefinger more than anyone else, though.
Oh, yeah. Definitely he's putting coin in his pocket for sure.
Now, call me crazy, but when I read that line about Geno Slint saying it would take Aegon the Dragon Knight to control the dissension and the bad things going on in King's Landing, it gave me the parallel of when basically Jon has to handle him, and Jon is compared to Aegon the Dragon Knight.
It's Aemon, ain't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it is. Aemon. I don't remember that part, actually.
I was going to say, forgive me. So Aemon the Dragon Knight,
the dragon.
He was the City Watch guy? I thought he was in the King's
Guard.
That was,
He was the famous Targaryen.
Yeah, that's Daemon.
Okay.
Daemon.
Okay, sorry.
The Road Prince.
Wait, did it say Dragon Knight or Aegon the Dragon?
It says Aegon the Dragon. My bad, but
so like the Conqueror.
yeah.
Yes.
So that also just that parallel to me for some. It brought up Jon in my mind, and then we know eventually Jon deals with Geno Slint. So
I want it also
as well, but that I thought of that. And why is that randomly in there? That's very random.
Well, no, I mean, he couldn't do it either. So, I mean, he was making a point. If you can't have the king, the first king that conquered the 7 kingdoms, keep the flea bottom underway, how is he supposed to? I mean, he's making a very valid point.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't know. I hate Geno Slint, so I mean, I should probably just.
I've defended him.
I should just step out of this.
It's hard to like. I'm with you, Sarah. He disgusts me so much throughout this story that it's So yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean,
he's a sleazy. You go ahead, Sarah.
No, go ahead. I want to hear you. I've been talking a lot.
I mean, obviously, a sleazy lowlife. We know what he does later on in the story and everything, how he's a coward at the Battle of the Wall and everything like that. But I think in this instance, he is correct as saying, I can't keep the peace. It was raped. There was a drunken horse race last night. A woman lost her head. No one knows. There's all these robberies going on. I mean, I don't think he's making any of this up or anything. It's just he's driving home the point that, things are out of control. I can't keep the peace.
Exactly. He's legitimately saying, hey, I got an issue here. I need help. Please help. And that's why Ned does what he does. He gives him the guard, his personal guard, puts 20 of his own guard out there to help.
I'm prejudging him for turning on Ned, and the city guard is who helped Littlefinger overthrow Ned's claim.
Yeah,
right. So
fallacious creature.
Right. So like, oh, here's 20 of my men that you're gonna just betray me with in a chapter or two. It's like, I don't know. I just hate him. I hate him.
Yep. And the locket, I want to touch on that there. It gives us the Lyanna. He tries to convince Ned that it's supposed to look like Lyanna, and he's like, no, that don't look like her. And you could tell in his, it's Renly's personality, that joking, I'm an asshole kind of humor, but you could tell it's kind of implying that it's something between him and Marjorie, but it obviously isn't, because that's his personality. And then it ends with what has it end? Where's that?
With the passing queer.
Yeah, it was a passing queer. I think that's Martin's first little nod at Renly's sexuality.
And I want to touch on this. Every inn is full, and when Baelish and Pycelle are trying to, because Ned is so perturbed about the tourney, and you touched on it a little, Sarah. Baelish and Pycelle are saying every inn is full, and the whores are walking bow-legged, jingling. It brings us to when Tyrion talks about how Tysha went away with her pockets so full and jingling.
Good, nice. Go on, Ricky.
Huh?
What were you about to say? Okay.
Oh, the song Jingling Bell of Cool J popped in my head.
Jingling bell? Well, the bells always ring for horrible things. We've heard that more than a few times.
Yeah. So, where we at? Renly trying to forge trying to get Ned to say that Marjorie looked like Lyanna?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess.
All right, well, I've always believed that Renly and the Tyrells were planning something long before, the War of the Five Kings happened or anything like that. I think what he was trying... What?
Go ahead, Ricky. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing. It's like Renly had some kind of plot developing before any of this shit went down.
I've always thought the reason he was trying to get Ned to say she looks like Lyanna was because he was going to try to get Marge married off to Robert. And if he got Ned to say, hey, she looks like Lyanna, then he can go to Robert and say that. And, of course, Robert doesn't have a good memory. Damn it, my cat's in the way. Of course, Robert doesn't have a...
Cats are always welcome. I think that was his plan. He was going to expose Cersei for having babies with Jaime and then put Marjorie in Robert's bed.
Yeah, basically put Marjorie in Robert's lap, a young, fertile, beautiful girl who he was hoping to invoke the memory of Lyanna, because we hear many times that basically Robert would be the first one to tell you that he doesn't love his wife. It was a marriage of politics. And I think that Renly basically thought somebody else was going to expose Cersei, and then he was going to be there with Marjorie basically as a dessert to offer up, and then even have more power and curry more favor.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't read that at all.
Okay, how did you read it? Because
I just seen Renly being that asshole, making fun of a bad situation and trying to rub in that Lyanna's a sore spot with him. So he's going to pick at that sore spot. He knows it's going to bug him. That's why he's doing that. And it gave me the hint that he was supposed to be interested in Marjorie because she's in the locket, but it plainly states Loras right before that too. It's supposed to give us that connection to Loras, and then the passing queer. I think that was Martin being subtle a little bit, and I didn't see that though. That's just me.
Have we seen Renly really make a jest at anyone other than Brienne?
Yeah, King's Road. Well, the King's Road, he was making fun of Joffrey right there in front of everybody.
Yeah, but that's
Arya.
Renly did laugh out loud when Arya threw Joffrey's sword in the river.
Yeah,
Barristan went on.
You let that little girl disarm you. Or when Robert said, "You let that little girl disarm you."
Yeah, and he laughed out loud. And I think I don't remember which chapter or which book it's in, but I think Renly openly admits to scheming to put Marjorie in Robert's bed. I don't know if is it a Clash of Kings? Maybe it's the next book, but I mean, we don't know that now. I mean, if we're reading a Game of Thrones for the first time, we don't know that. But I think he does openly admit to that, to Stannis. Like, you were scheming to get with Marjorie back in King's Landing. He's like, no, I was scheming to get her in Robert's bed or something like that.
Right. And, you know, and this is why we do this. We all read separately, and then we can, because what one person reads is not what the way another person takes away from it. But Angel C says she completely agrees with Bran. Aggie says she agrees with us, and so does Fred. So
Connie said something about Henry VIII.
What?
Henry VIII. Connie did.
The chat is even split on how that reads, you know, so that's why we do it this way.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the Tower of the Hand, where he gets up there. He's chilled out with the waiting on Jory to show up, and that's when they talk about all the kids, how shitty they were. He's just trying to get information, and Sookie being a dick, and we get a lot of information about John Aaron here too, and Stannis both.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, go ahead.
Oh, I don't think I made any special notes about this part other than the overview that I did. But I think, Ricky, did you say, like in the chat we were having earlier today, I think this is the first time we hear of Lan the Clever.
But I might be wrong about that.
I know. I mean, I think it is.
No, I think it is.
I believe so.
The Lineages of the Great Houses by Grand Maester Mallion. You know, he's House Lannister is, you know, just in the same way. There's Bran the Builder. There's Lan the Clever, who stole gold from the sun to brighten his hair. And to me, that's just
that draws imagery to Hugo Hill to me, taking the stars from the sky, making the crown.
Remind me of that. I know that's the bastard name if you're from.
No. It's the Andal King that the father supposedly gave him 7 stars to make a crown out of, and he. That's just what it hit me as, that kind of imagery, him making a crown around his head from the sun.
I've got some notes here on that.
Okay.
Back in his chambers, he gets out of his dressy silks. So he strips down out of his fancy clothes and is more comfortable in himself. And he says, I miss the coolness of the North. I miss Caitlyn's arms. And then he sits.
That is so sweet.
It really is. And it does point to the fact that he really does love Caitlyn. And I think that's significant that when he gets back to his rooms, he kind of takes this facade off. You know, he takes those dressy silks off that he doesn't really use. And he even says before he gets dressed to go to Tobo Motts, he specifically asks for his fancier tunic that displays the direwolf and whatnot, because he's not one to normally be showy about who he is, but he wants to in this instance. So that Tobo Mott or whoever he's going to bump into will speak more freely if they know they're dealing with the hand of the king.
Well, and I did write something down about that. Why is he not flaunting who he is with that intimidating Stark direwolf, with that hand of the king pin? Why is he not flaunting that authority in front of that small council? I'm sorry. I read this and he, you know, like one of the earlier Eddard chapters, he says he has to remind himself that I think it was when he first got to King's Landing, I'm among equals here. And
that's his mentality.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be.
Well, but in this chapter, he's saying Robert didn't bother to show up, so he speaks for the king. I love this scene with Tobo Mott and Ned, because Ned's like not a dummy. Like Ned, well, we'll get to that part when we get to that part. But yeah, he's dressing for the part. And just to me, I hear you. He misses the cool weather, but it's also like, well, why are you not wearing that authoritative clothing with all those snakes that are in him? You know. Anyway.
He's just really out of his element. And I think this chapter really points to that. At not only the weather, the dress, the people, everything. Ricky?
Okay, so the Tobo Mott thing is after. Yeah, you still okay? The Tobo Mott thing is after Sir Hugh refused to speak to Jory, right?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
We find out Jory happened right now, or he's coming back in and tells everything. Did they go to see Tobo Mott?
So I took it as he was putting on this symbol of his authority and stuff. That way, he's not going to have the same situation as Sir Hugh. You're not wanting to speak to this guy. He wants to know he's the hand of the king. That way, they would speak.
Yeah, that's how I took it. That he wanted to say, "Look, I'm the hand," and he wanted to say, "Look, I'm coming in right after the other hand died."
Right.
I think he wanted that known.
I took it like this was one instance because it goes to such pains to show how hot he is, how uncomfortable he is actually in these dress clothes. But for certain instances, he finds it particularly, he finds it to his advantage to wear these clothes. So he knows the significance of looking the part, so to speak.
What I'm saying is I think that he arrived at that after Sir Hugh had refused to talk to him, or to talk to Jory anyways.
Well, I think Sir Hugh would have refused to talk to Ned, and that's basically what Sir Hugh said was, "I'll be happy to receive the hand of the king anytime," but that he wouldn't talk to just a household guard. And Ned thinks to himself, with 10 more years experience than you and somebody who could beat you in a sword fight. And Ned is thinking of the ridiculousness of the fact that this basically up-jumped squire thinks that he's too good all of the sudden to speak to somebody who he knows. He basically snubbed Jory.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you also got to think that North aren't knights. They don't knight them like that. So he sees him as higher anyway already, even though he is 10 years younger or whatever. He's a knight and Jory isn't. So
right.
he's just a household guard.
I agree. And I think that's what you were trying to say, Ricky, huh?
He's a knight not for long.
True.
Enjoy it, Sir Hugh.
Of the Veil.
I
got something here.
Bring me my doublet, if you would, the gray with the direwolf sigil. I want this armor to know who I am. It might make him more forthcoming.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear me? I said, here.
No, I was reading.
Bring me my doublet, if you would, the gray with the direwolf sigil. I want this armor to know who I am. I might make it more forthcoming.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's saying. I'm going to show exactly who I am. And he knows that John Aaron had just been in this shop. So he's making his presence known. He's, listen here, this is what is happening. This is what's going to happen. You're going to tell me what happened. And
right.
I just wish he had that type of authority with the small council. That's
right.
I'll say it one last time, and then I'll get off that high horse.
No, it's okay. I get what you're saying too, Ricky. What do you think about that? What do you think about the way the small council treats Eddard?
Like a chump. They treat him like a chump, and he is.
I don't think so. I mean, they tell him what's going on. They don't try to. I mean, they're not sugarcoating anything. They're telling him exactly what's going on. 40,000 for the tourney, and what do you want us to do? If the king said to do it, so we make it happen. I mean, they're all pretty much pawns for the king if he wants them to be. So, I mean, yeah, Ned isn't the king though, so he knows that mentality. He's allowed to do the things, but it's supposed to be a group effort there. It's not supposed to be him just saying this, and I think Ned plays that part well, that, he's supposed to be delegating it out to the right people. And he doesn't have the right people. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I read it and I see Pycelle pretending not to really know what happened to Jon Arryn exactly, when you know full well he knows what happened to Jon Arryn. And here's a
why
book.
did he give him the actual book? Why did he give him the actual book? If he knew that what was in that book, why did Pycelle give Ned the actual book?
Because they're just batting him around in the same way. I mean, like, Jory goes and he interviews the 4 people that Littlefinger told him to interview. And meanwhile, Varys is just watching this whole thing. I mean, I think when Tyrion, I mean, we're allowed to talk about spoilers, right? When Tyrion comes in and he realizes that this small council is rotten, and he sets that trap, he sets it up against Pycelle, Varys, and Littlefinger. And Pycelle's the one who breaks first. But I mean, no, they're all they're all manipulative assholes, and I don't think they respected him and his ways at all.
No, of course not. They played the Game of Thrones. Ned isn't. He thinks he's still in the North, and that naivety is what kills him.
He's an honorable dude, and I think he just assumes everyone else is the same way.
What was that, Ricky?
Tyrion's a lot smarter than Ned, though.
Exactly.
Ricky, say that one more time.
Say that again, Ricky.
Tyrion's a lot
smarter than Ned.
I don't think Ned's inherently stupid. I just think, there is an art to politicking and to kind of having a different relationship with different people as it serves you. Does that make sense?
You got to have a charisma about yourself, and Ned's very sharp-edged. It's black or white with him, and there is no gray, and that's where he screws up, not having that gray area. Essentially that's what kills him, because he doesn't know how to turn a blind eye or whatever. He's in the wrong place not to be able to do that. He should have known that.
I also feel like Robert should have known that too. Like, what the hell was Robert thinking bringing Ned down there? Like, I mean, I guess he's drunk most of the time,
exactly.
So he does not really thinking. But like, your friend. Like, what did you think was going to happen to him down there? I will say though, I think that when Ned meets with Tobo Mott, he does show that he's like at least a little bit interpersonally savvy. Like, Ned is the type of guy who always has I can't remember which chapter it's from, but I think it's an Arya chapter where, like, one night you meet with the horse guy, another night you meet with the blacksmith, another night you meet with old Nan. Like, you meet with your household.
Know your men.
Know your men. I feel like he's sort of like, he gets Tobo Mott a little bit, and he's, he goes, he meets Tobo Mott, and he says, so did Jon Arryn buy that fancy armor I heard about, like, from the kitchen people? And Tobo Mott says, no, he didn't buy anything. And then Ned, like, specifically says, he just is quiet because he finds that sometimes silence is better than a question. And I'm like, that's brilliant.
It's more telling.
Silence is more telling than a question. I'm butchering the quote. I'm sorry. And then Tobo Mott mentions, well, he asked about the boy. And well, I came to see about the boy too. Like, Ned didn't know anything about that boy. Like, I'm like, you go, Ned. Like, he's playing a little bit. And when Ned wants to know who paid the apprentice fee, and I think doesn't Tobo Mott say it was free because he was so strong? And Ned's like,
we'll get to it.
Oh, we'll get to it. Sorry. Okay.
No, we're still in the hand.
Okay.
Got the hand.
Sorry. Yes. Back up. Sorry.
Well, to touch on the small council sees Ned, I've always thought that the people in the South had a negative view of the ones in the North, and that they kind of looked at them as they weren't as smart or anything like they were in, like, King's Landing. So I don't think that they thought that Ned might even figure stuff out, because I always thought they had an anti-Northern bias against them.
Like,
I
But
agree.
yeah,
And-
Littlefinger says something like they're slow of wit, or quick to anger and slow to wit.
And
Yeah, I
they melt below the
I would
neck.
even venture to say that that kind of prejudice exists in the world today. With my accent being so drawn out and slow, you don't know how many people have
I'm a damn hillbilly myself.
So
yeah, so I thought they looked at Ned like a country bumpkin in a way.
exactly. And you don't know how many times I've gotten that in real life, but it always gives me great pleasure for somebody to underestimate me and for that to be their detriment.
I want to touch on that book again, though. I don't think Pycelle really knew what was going on with Jon Arryn. I don't think he knew exactly. I think he assumed he knew what was going on, so he kind of led Ned on, but I don't think he actually knew. I don't think they would have gave him the real book if he really thought that he could figure it out.
I agree with you. I do think that he had some inclination. In fact, I made a list of people that are suspect in knowing Jon Arryn. And I put Pycelle on there for the simple fact that Maester Coleman was handling things the way that they should have been done, and Pycelle kind of came in and stopped any productive treatment.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
When Tyrion catches Pycelle as the snitch, when he sets up that trap, when Tyrion is acting as the hand and he sets up that trap, doesn't he get a confession out of Pycelle that Pycelle admits he did not kill, he didn't poison Jon Arryn, but he knew that it was important for Cersei that he died, because he's just like a Lannister lackey, like he's a Lannister loyalist, and he knew how important it was for Jon to die for Cersei, so he just let him die.
And that's what I think as well. I don't think that he necessarily knew who poisoned him or why, but that he knew that or assumed that it was in the people he was the Lannister. It was in the Lannister's best interest for him to die, so he stopped any kind of effective treatment. Because by all accounts, Maester Coleman was doing what even Pycelle says, that Maester Coleman was handling it properly. And it seems to me that's what you would do for poison. I don't know if anybody's ever had to have their stomach pumped, but essentially what they do is give you charcoal, which absorbs whatever is in your stomach, and then you throw it up. And that has been basically what people have done for centuries and centuries to handle poison. I mean, that's old school.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, even back, Henry VIII's time and before, that's what people did. If they knew what kind of poison might have been used, sometimes there was an antidote. But other than that, just charcoal on the stomach. Charcoal is very absorbing, and then it also makes you throw up. So it would absorb whatever was in your digestion, and then you would throw it up. And either you would live if your body hadn't processed very much of it or not. So, yeah. So I don't think Pycelle necessarily knew why, what, when, where, how, who, but he did stop any treatment that could have saved Jon Arryn.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything, Ricky?
I think that both could be true for this case. I think that it could be that Pycelle knew about the poisoning and just didn't think that Ned was smart enough to figure it out when he gave him the book. Or it could be he was completely oblivious. I don't think we're going to get a correct answer out of this.
Right. And
it's interpretation at this point.
That not too many maesters are as experienced as he is with poisons. Is that not correct? Don't we get that a bit later?
Well, a few chapters ago, he names off like 7 poisons, and then says, "Oh no, we're gonna have to free cities. We don't deal in poisons."
Ned wants to know if he was poisoned, and he's like, "Oh, this isn't the free cities where things are that common, but I guess it's possible. I remember
monster
that.
in man's skin.
Yeah,
And women,
it's a
poison is
woman's
woman's weapon. That's exactly what he says, because it implies Peter Baelish and Lysa Arryn. What monster in man's skin and poison is a woman's weapon. All right. What else?
And the Red Viper of Dorne. But we'll talk about him later.
Yeah. Fred says there's a suspect Martin that we would get backstory on Pycelle being loyal to House Lannister. Seems one point Martin left on the cutting room floor. I didn't know that.
Wait, yeah, where did that come from?
In the chat.
Go ahead.
Suspecteth Martin.
Yeah, someone asked him why Pycelle was so loyal to Tywin Lannister and the Lannisters, and Martin said that he would. We'll find out later on.
Okay. And then on the TV show, I imagine you've all seen the clip where Tywin rolls up on Pycelle fishing, and Pycelle is not the dithering old fool that he portrays himself to be. That's a deleted scene from one of the seasons.
When he gets up and cracks his back and he's all spry,
No, he's fishing and Tywin rolls up on him and it's like, why do you put on this act?
Oh, okay. I remember that one scene where he he gets up and cracks his back and he's all spry and it just shows that he's just a phony piece of shit. Excuse my language, but yeah, he lets people think that he's all old and decrepit and things get past him, but they don't.
Old and feeble and forgetful type of situation. Just the way Danny uses, I'm just a girl.
I was gonna say, I can't wait to start using that excuse and have it fly.
All right. Jim said he don't think Pycelle cared either way. If Ned finds out, he could say he helped Ned if Joffrey cuts Ned's head off. Fred asks, though, what do you guys think of Stannis abandoning his brother and Ned to the Lannisters? Go ahead, Jennifer.
I think it sucked. I think that Stannis knew, and when I made my list, that's one of the things I did for my notes tonight. I made a list of people and why they left and what were their possible reasons. And Stannis leaving was basically, I think he wanted to see what was all going to go down and let it basically implode and then clean up, kind of like what Cersei says she's doing now. She doesn't care if the White Walkers come and do whatever to the north, then she'll just come in and finish whoever's left. And I think that's kind of what Stannis was doing, because he left his brother, he left Ned. And once again, we know him and Ned weren't great friends, but they had a respect for each other.
I think, wasn't Stannis always jealous of Ned because Robert was so cool and thought of Ned as a brother?
Really, I think.
I don't think he felt
jealous that he felt like, I think it even says at one point that he felt like he treated Ned better than he treated his own brother.
And I think he was jealous of, or just resentful of Renly too, because Renly got Storm's End, even though historically the next in line goes to Dragonstone.
Exactly. And I've always thought it's all in Stannis's mind, because actually I felt like Robert was actually trying to honor Stannis by saying, hey, you know what? You're my heir.
You're my heir. Yeah. And Cersei was so stupid. I think it's a scene with Tyrion where he's like, and Stannis thought that was a slight, and Cersei was like, it was meant to be a slight. And it's like, I don't know if it was.
Okay, we've got something from Aggie in here. Ned found it hard to imagine what could frighten Stannis Baratheon. Was Stannis convinced it was the Lannisters who killed Jon Arryn, or simply foul play? Was he fleeing to make plans? That's what I think, Aggie. Like I said, I think he wanted everybody to kind of implode on their own and then swoop in. Only when he swooped in, he lost.
Vicky, what's your thoughts on it?
On Stannis and Dragonstone, or on
Stannis taking off.
Oh, Stannis taking off. I think he just kind of panicked, to be honest with you. I mean, something that's always tugged at me is I think we learned that Stannis was the first one that got suspicious about Cersei's children not being hers, and he got Jon Arryn because he knew Ned wouldn't have believed him. But I mean, it seems from this chapter that Renly probably knew at the same time. So if Stannis maybe had gotten Renly instead, then I mean, Renly and Robert aren't close, but they don't have an antagonistic relationship like.
I think Renly knew, but I think Stannis and Renly don't trust each other at all. I mean, like Renly's whole gig is being like being likable and not Stannis.
And Stannis' whole gig is that really nobody likes him. He doesn't, but Stannis doesn't try to be liked.
And here's the thing, though. Like,
I think I disagree, though.
I disagree too. Like, when you get to know Stannis, he is funny because, like, he's like, oh, he's so stern and humorless. I don't know.
But he's he's the most strategic mind in Westeros. He knows what's about to happen. He knows it's about to shit's about to hit the fan. He's going to prepare.
He's big picture. He's big picture, and like Davos Seaworth is his hand.
Not fleeing to plan.
Okay,
he's
he says
thinking ahead.
Stannis knew the truth and he fled. And she also goes on to say Jon Arryn was trying to convince Stannis of what he found.
I always thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, because it says Stannis would go back by himself, even without Jon Arryn.
Bloodware Blogging says, well, the thing is, Robert's decision to give Stannis Dragonstone is a bonehead move. He should have waited and give it to his oldest son.
Well, at the time, I mean, they just fought a war. The Targaryens could have come back. Or
as far as, they didn't know.
I mean, in the next book, we hear Maester Crescent tell Stannis that, he gave him Dragonstone because he needed a man to rule that place. And really,
because it's so accessible to the sea and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Aggie says, does Stannis scare? Ned found it hard to imagine that somebody who could hold storms in that long be scared of what a little coming storm with the Lannisters.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think he was scared. I think he knew what was coming because he knew all the pieces already. Where Ned has to follow this trail, Ned's got to go here. Play their little game that they want him to run through. Stannis is already making plans, getting prepared.
That's what I think so too. I think basically, like I said before, I think Stannis is just kind of sitting back and letting the chips fall where they may. And Angel C in the chat says, it would have been an advantage to Stannis to know that Robert didn't have any true-born sons. It puts him next in line for the throne. I agree, and I believe Stannis knew that, and instead of trying to, get on board with it. Well, obviously we know Renly and Stannis don't get along because then they end up going head to head. But
baby.
Connie, have a good night.
Who?
Connie.
Oh, good night, Connie.
Night, Connie. Thank you so much for coming. Always a pleasure.
Early work days.
And that's why we're going an hour earlier to accommodate people who have to get up for work.
Like me.
Like me too.
Oh, you guys, I got a part-time job today.
Oh, congratulations, Jen.
I said I was going to, because I have a GoFundMe to help me get to Con of Thrones, but I am disabled, but I'm allowed to work 25 hours a week, and I took a job today at the Dollar Tree. It may not be much, but it's something, and it will also allow me to get out of the house. So,
get out of that house. It does so much for your brain.
And I think so too. And for the first time in years, I feel good enough to do that. And I love talking to people. So I think I'll be great. I'm going to be stalking and doing the register. And I think I really love that. I wanted to share that with y'all.
Well, and then you got to bring all those discounted snacks to the Con of Thrones if you get there.
Yeah, I sure will. Look, they have a lot of good stuff at the Dollar Tree, and it's only $1. In fact,
Marie
do you
brings
get
up
a discount? Do you get a discount?
you don't need one. I think you do actually get like 10% off or whatever. But the manager was saying they even rarely call the police on shoplifters because stuff is just $1.
Okay, Marie brought up a good point here.
Okay, Marie, thank
There's
you.
no reason that Stannis would visit the brothel, and wasn't John Aaron the one who had the book? So, I mean, that is a very valid point. Unless Stannis just happened to connect 2 and 2 together out of, or Renly told Stannis and made a joke about it, and Stannis went looking into it because we know Renly was there at one point.
But we don't know. We know that the kitchen gossip is that John Aaron got this like crazy super elaborate piece of armor and this and that. He didn't get anything. So I don't know. I just take all of it a little bit with it's all fourth hand information, you know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bran. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, she does make good points. I mean, it was Aaron that had the book. He was the one who
John Aaron did have the book.
Yeah, that book is kind of key. I mean, unless Renly was the one who actually spotted it and then made a joke about it in a meeting or somewhere with Stannis, and Stannis, being the prude he was, went and checked it out. That's the only other way I can see it playing out without the book being the key.
Okay, and Fred said, sorry, but those uptight guys go to brothels. Don't be fooled by their reputation.
How do we know that Stannis didn't have the book at some time, though?
Yeah, I feel like maybe they had book club. Maybe they had Thursday night book club.
They live streamed and everything.
Yeah.
John Aaron, as the Hand of the King, probably had more authority to ask for the book, but Stannis could have put that idea in his head or something. We don't know that.
I have never thought...
The seed was planted somewhere.
It's hard for me to imagine that squad going to a brothel, like, for fun. But, yeah.
As for the armor, said, I think that's something that John Aaron might have put in place as a way of covering in case, you know...
A reason to be there.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Bloodware blogging made me laugh. Wolf Stannis Club will be a fiery Bible club.
Yeah, some of that hail and brimstone type preaching. Bloodware, good one.
All
okay.
right.
Do you guys want to go on to part 3, or are we still talking about... Okay, so the Tower of Bran, we labeled them different. My part 2 was...
Yeah, no, I went ahead and put those streets when they're going to Tobo Motts as separate.
Okay, yeah, let's
I'm just trying to make sure there's nothing else here real quick. The book serves a lot of purpose, figuring out about the son of Joffrey, Gendry. Yes, it does. It's in the chapter that Aaron had the book, not Stannis. Agreed, Marie. I mean, that's why I was saying that. I mean, the only other way would be if Renly happened to go in there, because we know Renly did go in there. Or, well, I guess we don't know Renly did. We know Loras went in there and got armor.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yes, that's Loras is super fabulous because he has the green armor, right? From
yes. Yes.
And Loras was a schemer with Renly as well.
Okay. Stacey S is saying John Aaron was not killed because he found out about Joffrey or Gendry. Stacey, I believe you're pointing to the fact that he was killed because Littlefinger told Lysa to kill him.
Because Littlefinger wanted chaos.
And because I think it was an incidental event. Like Stannis and John Aaron knew about the incest, so they made arrangements for Sweet Robin to be fostered over in Dragonstone. Isn't that what happened? And then Littlefinger in her ear freaked out. Because like he's like what, 8 and still breastfeeding? Like she's going to be upset if he's going to be sent away. So he played that card well, and yeah, I don't think it was Liza. There's incest, poison him. I think it had to do with the fostering of Sweet Rob, and that's always how I read it anyway.
Well, didn't Liza say?
Let Ricky talk.
Sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Maybe I'm wrong on this, but didn't Liza say in the letter to Catelyn that they were going to send Sweet Robin to the Lannisters or something?
Yeah, and that's what she was afraid of, and I think that was her main reason for poisoning Jon Arryn. But Littlefinger, and because she wanted to be with Peter Baelish, but we know that Peter Baelish was just using Lysa. So
why didn't that jump out at Ned, though, is what I'm saying, because he finds out in this chapter that, the people in there whispering that he was going to send him to Dragonstone with Stannis instead. But I guess Ned didn't get that.
You know what? We talked about this last week and about that. And, it makes complete sense because Jon Arryn fostered Robert Baratheon, and the only reason, you wouldn't want your kid fostered with Robert, especially if you're around him every day and you see he doesn't even attend council meetings. Stannis would be an obvious choice. And he also has a disabled child himself that would probably be comfortable amongst each other. And it's actually a perfect fit.
Yeah. There was somebody, Arya Stark, yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the streets, because there's this mystery of the missing horses. The Hand took 3 guardsmen with him, and the boys said that they were joking of it when he took off, but then they're just gone. They're nowhere to be found. Any thoughts on that? Why did he take the horses, and didn't they all arrive at Tobo Motts?
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Yeah. Reword that.
When Jon Arryn goes to Tobo Motts, he takes extra horses, and they're all laughing and cutting up about it. And they said something about it smelling. They could smell them or something. But they didn't come back. The horses just didn't come back.
I missed that. I missed that. I know that he went with 2 guards. I know that when he left, he had 2 guards. I was not keeping track of the horse. Yeah, he did. He did get to ride his favorite horse over there.
And I remember when he told Harwin, "Tell your father to have my horse saddled." He felt like, I was a little bit too terse with him.
Yeah,
gruff. And then when he goes to the yard, he's like, "And my favorite horse is waiting." I completely missed that about the extra horses.
Y'all keep talking. I'll find the quote.
Okay.
I believe you. I'm saying I didn't catch it.
We missed it.
Yeah. Like if I ever come across as like, no, that's not how it was. It's just because that's how I didn't. That's just how I don't know.
It wasn't that way at all. I just wanted to make. Okay. I wanted to read it so everybody was on the same page.
Okay, gotcha. Read this while you're looking for it. Fred says he got a good price for horse meat from the pot shops making bowls of brown. You know what, y'all? And actually, to this day, horse meat is considered quite a delicacy in France and a few other places.
They eat it in Canada too.
Okay.
I ain't never had any horse.
Wasn't it? It was found in IKEA meatballs like in recent history.
Oh God. It's actually quite expensive. Supposedly it's shaved really thin, and it's supposed to be a delicacy like escargot, or whatever. I tell you what, though, I sure as hell don't want to eat any horse meat. Hey, but the Dothraki eat it.
I mean, when in Rome, yeah.
It's probably a step up from pigeon meat.
I prefer horse over crawfish.
Okay, Ashley of North says those aren't his kids. What are you referring to, Ashley?
Scroll back a little bit. She made a comment or question. I forgot to ask it.
Let's go back to that. Let me try to get it. Okay, and then we'll go to Aggie has a question about the missing horses as well. Okay, Ashley. Stannis wouldn't have patronized a brothel for personal benefit. Didn't he want to outlaw them? Yes, he did. He even said it to Robert, and Robert says, why don't you go ahead and outlaw breathing, shitting, and eating while you're at it, and laughed at him.
So I love Stannis. I don't believe he would go to a brothel for personal reasons, but the people who are always the most like anti-gay, anti-porn are always the ones with like little boy boyfriends. Just saying. Like,
I don't like how they couldn't believe Tywin was with Shay.
Say that again.
Ricky, say that again.
Kind of like how they couldn't believe Tywin was with Shay because he didn't have that reputation.
Exactly like that. Like,
exactly.
He
like
also made when his father died and his father had that mistress. That he resented so much. He also made her do a walk of shame. And I was wondering today in my head, the High Sparrow making Cersei do that. I wonder, did he have some kind of relationship with this mistress that he specifically was trying to bring Cersei low, like whoever?
I thought it was.
We're always wondering the High Sparrow's real motives and whatnot. And it's obvious he wants to bring down the Lannisters. But I think there's more to that also. But that's another discussion.
That's a good parallel.
Yeah.
I know it's another discussion, but I'm just going to throw it in there. I heard somewhere, and I subscribed to it, that it was Kevin's idea. Like Kevin, like always trying to sort of be like Tywin. What you do to shame a woman and is to walk her naked through the street.
Kevin wanted to do that to his own niece?
I do.
Well, Richard III actually did it to Edward IV's mistress when he died. And he was kind of like Stannis. He hated prostitutes, whorehouses, etc. He thought, if you were married, you ought to stay married. And unlike the way it turned out for Cersei, for Jane Shore, she was a kind and generous woman, and people actually looked down. They didn't spit on her. They didn't throw rotten food on her. They actually kind of turned on Richard III as being a douche.
Cersei was banging Lancel, and I don't think Kevin appreciated that.
I can see that he was trying to, because he was very upset when he found out that Cersei had been banging his child.
Yeah.
Can you blame him?
No.
We get our first look at Beric here, too.
Yes. Beric, pre-Red God, showman Beric.
Yeah.
And he is kissed by fire.
How so?
He's redheaded. Yeah, he's redheaded.
Shame on me for not knowing that. Beric's got red hair?
And then Catelyn. I mean, the people that have been brought back all have been kissed by fire.
Redheaded. Remember, they call that comes up with the Ygritte. They all say that when she explains to Jon that she's kissed by fire, it's because she has the red hair. So Sansa's kissed by fire.
So Tormund survived that wall because he's kissed by fire.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
Doesn't Ygritte say it's lucky or something to have red hair?
Yeah, she says it's considered very lucky.
Oh.
And we see him coming in, and he's just all regal, and he's actually described as this handsome knight and everything. And we get later that Sansa wonders why that he was sent over like Loras to go get the mountain, because he didn't quite look the part of a honorable knight, which you would expect to see.
Well,
I don't know why that stuck out.
His cloak had like stars and stuff on it, right? Or am I making
the
that
lightning
part
bolt?
up?
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt, and I didn't remember his hair being red. I thought maybe I'm just getting the show mixed up. Thoros of Myr had red hair in the show.
There's so much information. I say that a lot. Between the show, the YouTube videos I watch, the companion material, the 5 books we have, it's very easy to get jumbled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Streets of Steel, Rivergate. Maps. You watching the chat, Jen?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Well, who put that in the notes about the black Banner being associated with Barrack. I read that earlier.
Those were all Agirlis. She put all those notes together.
Well, I think all of the North is pretty much going for Aegon, so my take on
that. Fred and a lot of people in the chat are saying, well, John isn't a redhead, so he's fucked.
Well, that makes you wonder what's going on there. I mean, gosh, we know the answers. No, we don't. We like to think we do. Yeah, it is dusted with stars, his cloak, by the way.
John's plot armor.
Ashley of North is talking about they aren't his kids. You keep calling them Robert's kids. Are you speaking about Joffrey and them? Is that what you're talking about?
She could be talking about Jon Arryn.
I can't find these damn horse quote.
So, how are we doing for time? I was going to say, in the spirit of moving along, you want to talk about Tobo, Mott, and Ned?
Well, first thing we got to mention is he comes up to the door and it's the ebony and the weirwood.
Yes, the House of Black and White. You're going to die, son. Yes.
I mean, they worship the black goat.
Okay.
Sacrifices every day.
And Ashley says, yeah, like we keep referring to Joffrey and them as Robert's kids. Yeah. I mean, I know they're not his kids. Right. I know they're not his kids. Yeah. But he thinks they are at this point. Well, he thinks they are till his death. He leaves Joffrey the rule.
Go ahead, Ricky.
So, we learned that Jon Arryn from the People Talk was a serving woman who said that he was arguing with Robert lately. He only picked at his food. He was gruff with his wife, and he was worried about Sweet Robin's frailty.
And reading too much.
Yeah, and reading too much. Which I don't think is a thing, but whatever.
I think that's some old wives stuff, some of it. But, I think the reading too much was probably just some old wives stuff,
Let him keep going here.
So, my point is, though, we have him arguing with Robert. Maybe he was mentioning something about the Lannisters, there being too many around or something like that. And they had an argument. I don't know. Now, a part about him worrying about Sweet Robin's frailty. And he was worrying about, and he was gruff with his wife. Why would he be angry at Liza for anything in this? So, of course, there's a popular theory that Sweet Robin might actually be Peter Baelish's son. I don't know if y'all have heard that one before or not.
I have.
Okay. So, could he actually be thinking, since he's maybe looked at his book about the ancient houses, has he possibly looked at House Arryn and seen how Sweet Robin doesn't look anything like him? And he's worried about the frailty because no one in his family's ever been affected by it. And he's gruff with Liza because maybe, he's starting to suspect that she had something going on with someone else. Maybe he thought it was Baelish. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's possible.
Bring up a very legitimate argument, and I don't have anything to say against it. So,
yeah, I don't have anything to say against it either. And the way I see it further in the story is if somehow Littlefinger is involved in some kind of assaults, like what Bran always says. Aren't you the one who always says you think Lynn Colbray is going to get a hold of Sweet Robin, who's going to be given as a gift, so to speak, or put to be fostered and basically be raped, and it puts Peter in the position of being a kinslayer or letting his own child be abused, which is a theme in a Dickens novel, Nicholas Nickleby.
He's gonna use it for his advantage.
Charles Dance is actually in that movie, and it's his son. The son is played by Jamie Bell, but unbeknownst to him, he allows his own child to be treated terribly till his own child kills himself, and then it's revealed that that was his own child. So yeah, I think it could be going in some kind of direction like that.
All right, I got this horse quote. It's right when Jory walks into the hands, the Tower of the Hand. He says, "The watchman, my lord, he vowed never to touch another horse." What did he have to say? He claimed that he knew Lord Aaron well, fast friends they were. Jory snorted. "The Hand always gave the lads a copper on their name days," he said. "Had a way with the horses, never rode on his mounts too hard, and brought them carrots and apples, so they were always pleased to see him." Carrots and apples, Ned repeated. It sounded as if this boy would be even less used than the others, and he was the last of the four. Wait, that wasn't it, was it? I just wasted all that time. I thought that was it. My bad.
Well, still try to look for it. And let's, Aggie says in the chat, parallel, and we already touched on this a little bit, but I want to go back to this for just a sec. And have you guys heard these theories, like that Tobo Mott is not actually Tobo Mott, because the double doors that show the hunting scene carved. Wait, I lost the quote. Sorry.
I don't. No, I think I think he is who he is, because he's got to be Cohor. He's got to be. I mean, I think they say something like there's only like 3 in the West. I mean, or 3 in the known world that know how to rework Valyrian steel or something like that. And I mean, Tobo might just happen to be one of those, and I just don't feel like he's going to be from a faceless man from Bravos or over here or something else. You know, I think he is who he is. He is a Cohorian who can work with Valyrian steel, who does know the spells behind it. Right. Sacrifice.
I think there is something to the fact of his doors, and I think maybe either he does believe in the faceless men and that type of thing. He might have served them. You know,
it's almost like a hidden information. It's like there's hidden knowledge here. It's almost a cue for us to pay attention.
Instead of payment. You know what I mean?
Ding.
Where did you learn how to work the spells in Valyrian steel, though?
In Cohor, where they sacrificed children every day. I mean, they had. I mean, it was part of their Black Goat religion. They had to sacrifice every day, and then that's pretty much what magic is in the series. It's blood magic. Everything seems to be related to blood. I mean, and then he's got we'll get there, I guess. All the kids there in the shop.
Oh.
You're welcome.
No. Take it back. I take my kids to daycare. I don't want to hear it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm putting this up. This movie thing doesn't work. But yeah, okay.
I can't find the damn horse. But they do pass a guy on stilts there in the streets, and he calls it the Shadow of the King's Spider, and his little birds had him fretting like a maiden on his wedding night. I mean, he's real intent, thinking Varys is out to get him, and he's looking at shadows at the wrong corners.
And right after it, we see a mummer on stilts walking through with children following behind.
Yeah, and like there's little kids playing swords with sticks.
It's described as a great insect with a horde of barefoot children trailing behind him. That great insect quote, I don't know, that reminds me of another series, I think, but that's what they were. I mean, they wore basically insect armor kind of deal. I don't know why it's reminding me of that, but I don't even remember what book series that is.
So am I the only one who got the mummer on stilts could be Varys and the children are birds, or is that too far out there?
No, I think it's representative of that, but I mean, like, isn't isn't he kind of fatty? Like, what's he doing up on stilts?
You'd be surprised.
All
I've seen
right.
some pretty fat guys on stilts.
Have you?
Yeah.
Scrawny man. I think he'd have to be some type of agile or something.
I guess I just feel like, what happened if Varys fell?
We know he was agile. We know he was agile as a kid. He got that way as a thief. He trained these kids to be his little birds or his little mice, as they were called.
I took it as more symbolic, but I do love the idea of a chubby Varys up on stilts. I'm not going to lie.
He makes no noise walking across the floor. I mean, he's very light on his feet.
It could just be symbolic. I'm just saying, that's what I got from it.
No, it's like when you read these books 500 times, like, yeah, every sentence has to mean 500 things.
Exactly. Right? All right, we get to Beric. We see him. He says he's going to win the tournament, by God.
Okay,
all right.
Aggie says something good. Herring means, okay, foreshadowing with shadows, foreshadowing of death, mud and shadows. The gods help this pot boy if he sent me off harrying after shadows. Harrying after shadows. Harrying means running fast. Is this to indicate Ned was running headfirst into his death, or that Gendry and Tobo might?
Well, Gendry and Tobo are still alive.
Yeah.
Right, but I think absolutely, Aggie. I think you picked up on something beautiful. Beautiful.
It's a lot better than what I had.
Yeah.
What do you have, Ricky?
Oh, about the threat. I took it as a threat, and it was a sign that Ned, who usually doesn't threaten anyone, that he was just getting so frustrated with the case.
Being ran around in circles.
Yeah.
He was very frustrated. Fred says, YouTube fucks with your perception of people. I expected Evan Williams to take a toll on Ricky.
Nope.
Real quick, I just want to say, Ricky, the first time I ever got drunk and threw up, it was on some of that Evan Williams.
All right. Forgive me. What is that? What is Evan Williams?
It's like whiskey, like bourbon. Is it bourbon, Ricky, or just whiskey?
Might be whiskey, yeah.
I thought Fred was like talking about somebody I didn't know about. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Like Evan Williams?
Yeah. Why don't I know him? And why is he not? What's he saying about me? I'm like, okay.
Angel C says he's a faceless man. Are you thinking of Tobo Mott?
No.
I just don't think everyone can be a faceless man in this story.
Exactly. They can only train so many and I really think the faceless men have to be at least a warg. I mean, they have to have a ability to change their face. I think they got to be able to basically move their consciousness around in ways.
Okay, Aggie says, in the shadow of the wall, farmers stood beside their wagons, bellowing out. Added notes. Ned is surrounded by death. Head in a rainbow pool of sap, mobs, murderers, but only one raper. All right, Aggie again. House of Black and White imagery at Tobo Motts.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you also get this line, a pair of stone soldiers stood sentry at the entrance, armored fanciful suits of polished red steel, and transformed them into a griffin and a unicorn.
And
that's
griffin
imagery.
And unicorn are both mythical creatures.
Well, the griffin is the Connington, and the unicorn is House Brax.
Right. Okay.
An amethyst unicorn on a white field.
So there is a House Usidua's unicorn.
House Brax, Brax.
Where are they from?
I don't remember right off.
Because I was looking at that, and the green.
Okay, Angel said no, very. She was kidding about the faceless man thing. Okay, Bloodware Blogging says not really. Gendry's masters may be working for certain slaver who may have friends in cohort.
Who's the certain
that
slaver?
Still doesn't justify him being able to fix or work with Valyrian steel.
Oh, wait. The slaver being like Illyrio?
he was a there was a maester that was tried to learn the secrets of Valyrian steel reworking from Qohor. Like the third time they caught him, I think they cut off his hand or something like that, and they shipped him out. They do not let that secret go outside of their island, really. I don't know how he even got out of there, but at the same time, he is Qohoran or Qohori or whatever you said.
Cohort?
He Cohort. If he would know if anybody. I don't. That makes him Cohort. I don't think that can be argued, honestly. It's just my opinion on the matter.
Okay.
Double doors. All right, he left the horse and he went inside. What we got about Tobo Mott here? He walks in. He's all smiles and bows, and he's got the pen all. Ned's making a show of it. He's wanting to make his authority known.
He said, "Oh, you're here for the. You want armor for the king's for your tourney. That's what you want, right?"
And he's quick to tell him how pricey he is, but he's the best one around. And then he goes and shows him these kids back in the back. my work is art, he says. And I got these slave labor.
They're apprentices, Bran. They're apprentices. They're learning life skills.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, Gendry's going to beat the fuck out of some bloody mummers later with that arm.
Mm-hmm. And they know how to the dyes. I'm curious about that. How is he? He knows how to dye things better than everybody else. How is he doing that differently than everybody else? And what happens to ice when that happens?
That is interesting. Because no one could get the green as deep as he got it?
Yes, the green plate with the green golden antlers. He straight up says nobody can do it as good as I can. In the Seven Kingdoms, it says.
He does.
In the Seven Kingdoms. He knew the secrets of putting color into steel itself. Paint and enamel were just crutches to a journeyman. Or mayhaps the hand wanted a blade.
Because didn't Tobo Mott get real pissed whenever Beric would light the sword on fire? He would only sell him garbage swords because he was just going to light them on fire.
Because the wildfire would, eat the blade. Doris, yeah.
What did I say?
Beric.
Sorry.
He offers him a direwolf helm so real it'll scare children. That's interesting how he's talking about children and Ned there. And Ned plainly says, no, I don't want, if I ever want one, I'll come back.
I just think of the hound running around the Riverland. Well, somebody in the hound's helmet running around the Riverlands, scaring kids. Yeah. It's just so hard for me to even read any of this. Harwin, go prepare my horse. Harwin is one of the Brotherhood without banners, they're all just to think about where they all end up. Sorry if that's a spoiler to anyone, but yeah.
I think anybody that's coming to these have read the books at least once, probably,
or at least
3,
they don't
4,
mind
5 times.
Spoiler or 5.
Harwin's another character show.
Who?
Harwin show, and then Ned sent him off to do something, and he never came back from it.
Yeah, well,
Alice Mullen?
Arya sees him at an inn, and she's just chilling with her anonymous friends, and she's like, Harwin, you know my dad, I'm Arya. He's like, Arya Underfoot? Sorry, I don't serve your dad anymore. I serve these Brotherhood without banners. And so that's when I kind of thought it's sort of foreshadowing mayhaps that Ned would say to Gendry, if you ever want to use that arm for something besides, if you ever want to wield a sword instead of making one, come find me. Because they aren't they all sort of like Brotherhood without banners, they all went out there fighting for Ned, but then they realized Ned was an outlaw, and then therefore they were outlaws, so therefore they're just gonna do good. And I feel like that sort of represents Ned.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Let's see here. I mean, and we see Gendry's kind of stubborn attitude with the helmet when they try to give it. When Ned asks, and Ned specifically asks to buy it too. I found that kind of odd. Why would he want to buy that, even if?
Because it was amazing. He said it was well done, and it was like, I mean,
it's unpolished. It's not even finished.
It was well done. It was well done.
Yeah, and I think maybe he was just also trying. You know, he didn't know.
He's a Northman. He doesn't waste.
But yeah,
he wouldn't waste.
He also doesn't know how attached Gendry is to it. And at this point, he believes he recognizes that is one of Robert's sons.
Robert, yeah.
Robert is his best friend. I think maybe he would have probably overpaid for it to make sure that the boy has an easy life. And I think that's all that was really about.
I thought it was more of a test on Gendry. See what kind of kid he was. See if he had that Baratheon, angst, whatever it is. I mean, it's just that
bullheadedness.
Bullheadedness.
It could have been to see what kind of mind, like to see what kind of person he was. If he'd have been like, yeah, immediately to curry favor with the hand, but also to make money. And instead, he's like, no, this is mine. And
it's awesome
to do that. And Tobo Mott gets mad at him for it.
He's like,
okay, Ricky.
He's like unbeaten steel, and he's to get beaten. Yeah, Ricky, talk. Sorry.
What was I supposed to talk about?
I don't know. You were trying to cut in a couple times there, and we kept cutting you off.
And that we see the kind of attitude that Gendry has when all the kids are calling him bullheaded, and he makes the helmet that looks like a bull to just as a fuck you to him. Yeah, he's a spite.
Exactly. Yep. Good point.
I think he's
just
strong.
Trying to gauge a little bit of Gendry's character.
One of my favorite sub themes of these stories, and listen, I wasn't an English major, so maybe I'm not using that term correctly, but I love all of Robert Baratheon's bastards. I love Mystone and how she's the only one who can tame those stubborn ass donkeys. I love Gendry's he's stubborn as fuck, he's strong, and he's gonna do what he wants to do. And Mystone is yeah, I'm gonna do what I want, and I love. There's other ones too.
I think also I'm sorry, Ricky. Go ahead.
Eddard Storm's real stubborn too.
Eddard Storm, yes.
And I think that also parallels John, y'all. In the first John chapter at the feast when he said sometimes it's good to be a bastard because he got to drink as much as he wanted to back there instead of being at the high table with his legitimate brothers and sisters.
Well, Fred asks a general question. Do you all find yourself becoming less tinfoily the more you get into it? I've just been wondering.
I find myself becoming more tinfoily, actually.
I think it balances out with me.
I think I know the answer, so.
Ricky, for me personally, which is of zero authority, but I think I started off very pure, just books. And then I got very tinfoil, and now I think I'm back pure, just those are all fun ideas until the 6th book comes. But, yeah. I love some tinfoil, though. Don't get me wrong.
I do, too. I'll be right back, you guys. I'm sorry.
The seed is strong.
The seed is strong. And that's why I love all of Robert's bastards. They're amazing. They're great.
Well, Eddard is real stubborn, too, because, he won't go pray at go attend the fate for the lore ceremonies. He's a warrior's man, just like his father was. Is what he said.
Well, repeat that. I'm sorry.
Everyone at Dragonstone is attending the Relore ceremonies and praying to the light. And Eddard, when someone comes to him, Eddard snaps at him as I'm a warrior's man like my father. I'm not going to pray at the Red God ceremony. And he's always talking about.
Well,
so
I take your word for it.
I would say Edric knew he was King Robert's bastard, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Maya Stone just remembers being like thrown up in the air.
He was the first one, or the only one acknowledged. Robert acknowledged.
I don't think, does Maya Stone know that she's King Robert's bastard? I can't remember.
I'm sure the Royces or somebody has told her by now, because she's not like right there under his nose like Gendry is. Gendry's right there in Irbara or any of the other 9 bastards.
Oh shit!
Right there.
That girl that he almost f's at the Peach. There's a
Bara.
Oh, I can't remember, but basically, yeah, like George R.R. Martin is all about that incest, and like, yeah, Arya, they're at the Peach, and Gendry's with this girl who's got black hair and blue eyes, and is like very bold, and I'm like, oh, don't do it, dude, don't do it. Like, what was her name? But isn't it implied at the Battle of the Bells? She was like conceived at the Battle of the Bells when they were all hiding Robert. And he like probably had 100 bastards then. The seed is strong. Like, whew.
George has got issues.
Okay.
But on to the Maya Stone part. Sansa Stark, it's about Sansa is talking about the rumors about Maya Stone's father, and she sees Maya and she knows they're true. So clearly Sansa has heard these rumors. I would imagine Maya's heard them being there.
Right.
I want to say something about that if you're through, Ricky.
Yeah.
Robert actually used to visit Maya Stone when he was still in the Vale, and Ned talks about how he used to go with him a little bit. And so I do think even if she doesn't remember being told herself, it's an open secret. Everybody knows that, that she is King Robert's bastard. And I think he's actually his first child, or the first one that we know about.
Bloodware made an excellent point here. He says, "Don't Tobo have apprentices parallel Varys have the apprentices of the little mice?" And I mean that's
it does completely.
It's identical. That's a hell of a point.
But he lets them keep their tongues.
Tinfoil is awesome, and of course you've got to love Robert's bastard girl from Stony Sept, and how Gendry was almost in line to get into incest. Oh yeah, Maya is working for the Royces.
Marie, what's that link?
Marie has put a link to my GoFundMe to get to Line of Thrones.
The other one I was asking, actually, but that one too. The one before that.
She has put the link to her videos for...
Maya is also seems to be the only child that Robert cared about.
Yeah, even though Edric was the one acknowledged, Maya was the one that he doted on.
There is a mention of, he mentioned bringing one of his children to King's Landing, a girl, and Cersei tells him that it wouldn't be safe in King's Landing for a bastard. So, he wanted to bring her to King's Landing, apparently, even. But Cersei threatened to kill her, basically.
That's sweet.
And Ned calls Tobo Mott out about knowing who he is. He says, you know who the boy is. And Tobo Mott says, no, I'm just and he says, you know who the boy was. And he said who he was before doesn't really matter to me. And that's when he asked him how much did they pay to keep him here, and he tried to lie to him and say it was free. And I mean, Ned saw right through his bullshit to say no.
For the first time ever, he decides to not believe somebody. Okay, you guys silenced me before. I'm sorry. I'm shouting at you. I'm so sorry, Bran. For the first time ever, Bran. Ned is like,
Ned.
I didn't believe that for 1 second. Ned didn't believe it for 1 second. I'm like, but you believe Varys, you believe Pycelle, and you believe Littlefinger. Okay, but yeah, so I'm sorry to shout at you like an animal. I apologize. Yeah, like I think that he and Tobo Mott had this like great vibe where they were both like sort of like evenly matched in wits. And you know what? They paid double for me to not tell where he came from. And I'm not going to tell you where he came from because where he came from is not of important to me now. And he decided that he liked that answer as an honorable dude who like is honest, but like forthcoming. And he's like, but I wonder what Jon Arryn wanted with one of King Robert's bastards. So he leaves knowing that it's King Robert's bastard, you know?
100% he knows it's Robert's bastard, but he's not put two and two together yet, you know? Maybe that's what that, the Hair son with Land the Clever was just another little nod from Martin to us to say, hey, look, telling us, because we don't know at this point. We shouldn't know at this point, reading it. We're still trying to puzzle it out with him. And I mean, that's Martin. That's one of those details that we don't catch till we go back and see.
Can I ask you each a question? So I will admit that I saw the show. I saw this all go down on TV before I read it. Did you guys read this first, or did you watch it on TV first? You did read it first, Bran?
Yeah.
So
I didn't catch shit. I didn't catch any of it. I had to, when I got into the community is when I started seeing the first thing I thought I saw was Rhaegar being Mance. I saw that parallel and I'm like, oh, is this really real? And I go look thinking I'm all excited and I realize I'm 10 years too late. They've already went through it, debunked it. Okay.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah, I'm 10 years too late on everything, boo. It's fine.
I mean, I started reading in 2004 and you know, I'm just like, oh, I got this. And I don't know why I even looked it up that day, but I looked it up and I was like, oh, wow.
So do you watch
where have I been? No, not really.
You don't watch the show?
I kind of gave up about season 4 and didn't watch any of one episode of 5, 2 of 6, and I actually got 3 and a 7, but that's about it.
I watch it. I hate watch it now, but I mean, the show is what got me to read the book, so I try not to hate it too much.
That's why I respect Dan and Dave. If nothing else, I respect them for getting millions of people to pick up a book and read it. I don't care if they shorten what they're doing is they don't know what's going on. They've got the broad strokes, so now they're trying to cram in just the broad strokes they have and hide it with CGI and emoting. And that's it. I mean,
there's amazing wigs, there's amazing costumes, there's amazing scenery. That's why I watch it. Yeah.
They don't have the story. They lost the story when Martin didn't have the story for him to run from, and so he's given them broad points, and that's why I say we're going to be shocked at how much they actually have told us. There's a lot that we're going to get in the books that we didn't realize we already had from the show. There's a lot of it. I mean, I totally believe it's Jon is an Aegon. Obviously RLJ. That's been. I don't know why people even argue that anymore. But my newest one I'm working on is Rhaegar's third wife.
Oh, can I back up? I will openly admit I was really a fan of the idea that Mira Reed and Jon Snow were twins because they both had black curly hair.
Red's in the chat.
What now?
Mira, listen, I'm not arguing for it now, but at a moment in my life, I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if it was like Luke and Leia and they decided to separate them? And because Jon Snow and Mira Reed look so similar on the show with the black curly hair, you know? I'm like, maybe they're twins. So yeah, like whoever asks in the chat, are you into tinfoil? Sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes when there's nothing else to do, I am.
I'm highly considering that Rhaegar had a third wife being a Chardane. And it mirrors Maegor the Cruel. He had the Black Brides. He married 3 women at one time. And he do it. What, Ricky?
Oh, nothing. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm making weird noises, so I'm gonna just mute myself.
Well, I mean, you got Tiana the Tower and you got Lyanna the Tower of Joy. I mean, they don't parallel or anything, but I mean, you got a very close name association. I really think Rhaegar was just a whore. I think he was pushing prophecy. He wanted to make this prophecy happen. He has this. We know that from a young age.
Musicians are never whores, Bran.
He's a bullshit. I am a musician.
Sorry. Continue, sir.
I think he's pushing the prophecy. There's no way, even at a young age, reading something changes him into a warrior just because he read this prophecy. So now he's prophecy driven from a young age. That shows us right there that prophecy has driven him. And I think he's sleeping with whoever he can, trying to produce this baby that is going to save the world. And I can see Ned, after the Tower of Joy thing happens, going to Starfell. She just had a miscarriage. He's bringing another one of her husband's babies, and as they're leaving, after they leave, she takes the plunge. I mean, I could see it all going down like that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And that would be a bam, bam, bam. All three wives dead right that in real quick succession.
I think Shara might be with Helen Reed. I'm putting it out there.
Who?
Helen Reed. Shara
I've heard that actually.
She's resting comfortably in the neck with Helen Reed.
There's a few people that like that.
Yeah. I haven't done the spreadsheet of how it's possible, but listen, I'm all for anyone who's dead and beautiful and thought about all the time. So I'm obviously a fan of Lyanna. I'm a fan of Lyanna. I'm a fan of Lyanna and Ashara. Sorry.
I see the Maegor the Cruel parallels being, Maegor was the king that they needed at the time, and Rhaegar was the king they wanted at the time. Maegor got it, Rhaegar didn't. I mean, it's a whole back and forth dichotomy that they use throughout the entire thing.
Well, Ellie Kendrick, the girl who plays Mira Reed, when they asked her about her being John's sister on the show, she shut it down. But she seemed to hint that Mira's parentage is a little strange. So, to go along with that, sure. And Helen Reed's wife's name is Gianna, or something like that.
Jyana.
Yeah, which is just John and Lyanna put together. So I always thought that was weird. But that's me.
Read some comments here. John knew too much. What did John Arryn wanted with a king's bastard, and why was it worth his life? We know these answers. What we don't know is what John was going to do with the intel. What I also noticed there is we get the parallel of Jon Snow at the wall knows nothing, but you got John Arryn down here who knew too much.
There's only so many names. You know what I mean? Everyone's named John.
He did that.
Everyone's name's Robert. Everyone's name's Rob, Sweet Robin, Robert Aaron. You know what I mean?
Aggie, we got to do some recording, damn it.
Aggie's the shit. She gave me all kinds of ideas today. She was the first person who was it was passing queer. And I was like, oh my God, it never even occurred to me that he was calling
You're welcome.
Renly queer. Are you saying you're welcome for introducing me to her?
No, because I felt that.
Oh.
That's more. It sounds more like a guy would say. I don't think I've ever really heard a woman say, "Oh, that's queer," or "He's queer" or something like that. I don't think I've
queer.
ever seen
I mean, I've heard it queer to mean strange, not
right, exactly.
Not LGBTQ, not in the sexuality sense. Just
There's more letters than that now.
I read it as it was strange. It never occurred to me to think of it as queer in the sexual sense, but
I normally I would have thought the same way. Then it says passing queer.
Passing
queer.
Queer.
It's more than just the regular queer. I mean, that's the way I read it. That's how I read it, and I saw that. And I mean, I actually listened to it that day, and I heard it, and it stuck with me. Always. Got anything, Ricky?
On passing queer? No.
Or anything?
I mean,
Who thinks Renly was gay?
I mean, he's totally gay.
I'm kidding.
so do we think that John Aaron was worried about being poisoned with him picking at his food?
Oh.
Good question.
Oh, good question. Who asked that question?
I think he did. I ain't seen it, but give us answers in the chat too.
Yeah, y'all chime in on that. Do you think?
No, they lost it all, and they decided
in his food that he was worried about being poisoned, or that he had just lost his appetite because things. Well, I know that when I'm stressed or when I'm worried, I don't eat nearly as much as when everything's going good.
Or was it just lamprey pie, honey roasted mice, and he just lost his appetite?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
he eaten it for a week.
The help, which like I'm not saying is a pejorative term. I have a feeling if I lived in this world, I would very much be the help. But like they don't know what's going on. They're like, oh, he picked at his food. He was upset about his son. He was fighting with his wife. Like, who doesn't sometimes pick at their food, stress about their kids, and fight with their spouse? Like, I don't know. That. Was he afraid of being poisoned? That's a good point. But I mean, obviously he wasn't fearing the right people because Liza got the job done.
I disagree, Bloodware. He says, see, there's those things of Barbary Dustin saying Brandon was a probable rapist. I don't think he was a rapist. I think he just liked to deflower women. I mean, he liked to see his bloody sword.
Hold up. Barbary Dustin said that Brandon was a rapist?
No, that's what he read it as, and I was disagreeing with him.
No, I think she was into it. I think she was into it and pissed that he had to go marry Catelyn to do Southern ambitions or whatever.
The way I read it also was that Brandon had her believing that if it was his choice, he would marry Barbary Dustin, but that it was his father. That's the way I read it from her. Like, she believed that he would have married her if he would have had the choice. And let's remember, he was fostered at the Dustins.
I'm also inclined
he says, and Brandon being a rapist will fit in perfectly with the last two books, Ironborn plot becoming essential to everything. That does parallel that. I can't deny that.
Explain.
Well, I mean, the Salt Wives, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're taking women on and doing what they want with them.
Angel says, I love when Marge and Sansa are talking on the show about sex, and Sansa asks, did your mother tell you that?
Quaithe is a Shar, or someone is. Me too, Angel. Which Brandon? Brandon Stark, the Wild Wolf. Could John be born of rape? Could he be born from rape?
That's
a touchy question, because there is a very good chance of that. I mean,
it depends on how you define rape. I mean, like, Robert Baratheon didn't like that Lyanna was taken. And
where are you going with this?
Yeah. It's a very touchy question, and I decided to not talk in the middle of talking. Was John born of rape? I mean, Lyanna was a lot younger than him, but I'm also inclined to believe like she was super ferocious and probably wasn't taken. You know, she probably went. So,
like Marie says, like Tudor's time, everyone is Thomas, Henry, or Edward. Yeah, he's made it plain that he did that on purpose. I guess the written rule is to not use more than 26 characters, basically a different letter to start each name. And he said he knew from the get-go he's going to have way more than 26. So He just
Wait.
took after the history.
Bran, explain that. I don't hear
That's
you.
a writer's rule.
A
Rule of
writer's
thumb.
rule?
Just so you'll have a different name. I mean, you got 26 names right there, 26 letters.
Yes, 26 letters. Gotcha.
It's 26 different letters there. If you have a different letter every name, you got, basic 26 characters that you can work with. And he knew from the get-go he's going to have way more than 26, so he said that he just went ahead and copied history. I've watched too many interviews.
No, this is why we come here.
I read some really neat AMAs today with Elio and Linda. Those were nice.
I agree with Fred. Fred says the company line is it was rape. I think most know better. Ned had to sell it as such.
Yeah.
Sansa in the show is
go.
like she was abducted and raped, and Littlefinger's like, is that so?
He goes, was she?
Was she? Yes. Paraphrasing.
So did anyone think that the hunting hounds was weird? He was interested in breeding hunting hounds?
Not at all, because that's dog breeding right there. I mean, that's basically what he was doing with the whole search he was finding. I mean, it's a little weird if he was doing it all his life and didn't recognize it right off the bat. But if he had just started it, I would say it's perfectly normal.
Ricky, I think I might have shouted at you with an exclamation point, and I didn't mean to. But
A couple of them,
sorry. I just think he was looking at genetics, like if a big dog mates with a little dog, how does it turn out? If a black-haired person mates with a yellow-haired person, how does it turn out?
Like this. My mama has black hair, my daddy has light hair, but my brother has black hair.
So, all right. There's Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire nerd, and then there's like fucking genetics nerd, and like you don't even want to know that. You don't even want to know that nerd. But yeah. So I think John Aaron was just studying genetics.
Okay, Bloodware, you getting crazy there.
What's Bloodware saying?
Brandon being a rapist is probably raping Lyanna will parallel Euron raping Aeron. I mean, that would play parallel, but Jesus, man.
I mean, not all rapes are connected, dude.
Angel C said,
Ricky, wait. Ricky, what?
He said Brandon raped Lyanna?
He's implying that Brandon wasn't raping Lyanna parallels Euron raping
Wait,
Aeron.
Brandon and Lyanna were brother and sister. Why the fuck are they having sex?
So was Euron and Aeron. They're brother.
You must be trolling.
No.
Like we can all just no.
I mean, we can't deny it though. I mean, you get
no. I'm gonna silence myself because I know I'm being really loud and annoying. Okay.
we can't say it didn't happen, but there's no proof to make it believable. It's not believable.
I'm gonna be a goddamn all-knowing bitch, and I'm gonna say it didn't happen.
The remake's a good point. Go ahead, Ricky.
What?
Aeron hates you. What he did to him. Brandon and Lyanna, we don't know if they were close necessarily, but when he heard that Lyanna was taken, he took running off to King's Landing. So it seems to have been.
So did Robert.
Yeah, but Robert didn't rape his brother or whatever.
No, but if they were in love, I mean, if he thought he was in love, he did exactly what Robert did, except Robert had an army behind him. He went to the gate and tried to fight himself. I mean, I could see where they could come up with that idea, but I don't buy it.
The Starks have never been involved with brother and sister stuff.
I'm pretty sure that, like,
that we know of.
At least in wildling culture, it's an abomination to like sleep with kin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that like trickled down to the north.
I think they come from the north.
Aggie, we've got to do some videos.
So to go on with your Lyanna stuff, do you think that Rhaegar may have taken Lyanna as a wildling, kind of taking their
I know. I
breaths?
think he deflowered. I think he was the one who deflowered Ashara at the.
You think Rhaegar got
tourney.
with Ashara? You think Rhaegar?
Yeah, totally did. Why would they name the 4 and then it be one of those 4? No.
So
they're not going to sit there and talk about I'm not going to dance with the girl, then go rape her. I'm going to hide in the shadows, wait till she's alone, then I'm going to go rape her.
So
if I were
one
going
of
to
the
rape
things
anybody.
I always thought was super interesting about and listen, I'm not a huge I kind of hate on Barristan Selmy a little bit. Like, I think he's kind of a snooze and a dummy, but like he's like, oh, I should have gotten with Ashara, or else she would have been dishonored and turned to Stark. But like, he never said that Stark dishonored her. Like, he says that like she was dishonored.
He implies Ned did it, or Brandon did it. One of the two. He thinks he thinks one of those done it. But I don't think.
But if it was like a privilege to get raped by the prince, like turn to Stark for comfort, I don't know. I don't like where this conversation's going.
It wasn't a rape though. I think he, but played the harp real nice and said a bunch of pretty words and let's get married. Bam, there you go. And then done it. Turn around. 6 months later, does it again. He didn't care. He's the way I said. He's Maegor the Cruel, paralleled, just doing what he wants to do. I think the polygamous marriage is going to be a big factor with the Elia, that triangle, the Elia, Lyanna. So what's so weird about having a third one?
You said that you read something very interesting today. What was that? You said. I'm sorry.
What was?
AMA. Come on.
Oh, I don't think it actually pertained to that. It was pertaining to a bunch of other stuff that me and Aggie need to make some fucking videos on.
You and Aggie make some videos. So
didn't Barristan say that would she look to me instead of Stark? That's what
I think she did.
Yeah, he does.
So that seems to imply that Stark was the one that did it. I think it was Brandon, which
no. I don't believe it was any of them. I mean, I know he likes to do that, Barbary Dustin said, but that doesn't mean he does it to every single one.
If my money's on it, it's that Brandon did it, and Ned was like, "I'll dance with you," like
No, I think Rhaegar's pushing prophecy. He's wanting to make that magic baby, and he's going to do it with whoever he can. I think he's going to have 6 wives. To be honest, there's going to be 6 women that he's, either married to or close to. When it all come out, he's going to be marrying Maegor the Cruel.
Okay, let's look at Ashara then. She danced with 3 or 4 people.
It was 4. Barristan.
She danced with the Red Viper Adore, and no one's talking about her having his babies.
No.
Her having his babies. I'm sorry.
She asked.
We'll just switch the pronouns around a little bit.
She asked Oberyn and John Conn to dance. And she danced with Brandon. Now, all of those guys you're talking about, good-looking, warrior, confident people, that seems to be her type. Brandon is her type. Ned liked her. He got Brandon to go over there and introduce him and basically be his wingman so he could dance with her. They danced.
Barristan danced with her.
And then I think Brandon came in after that because that's probably who she was. Yeah, that's what happened.
And I think Rhaegar sat in the back and watched and said, well, y'all had y'all's fun, now it's my turn.
Rhaegar was probably too busy playing his harp.
So you guys know that we're talking about Game of Thrones Eddard 6, right? Like, I love this conversation so much, but we haven't even heard Lyanna's name, really.
We heard it from Renly this chapter.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't Marjorie look like Lyanna? Yeah. You're right. I take it back. But All right, I'm sorry. Well, one thought I had was one of maybe the reasons that like Ned is so like anti-tourney, even though he knows culturally it's appropriate to have tournaments, but like the tourney in Harrenhal was pretty much like a fucking disaster for him and his family, you know? Like,
I agree what Fred says here. He says Barristan was a prude, no one dishonored her. I do agree, but I think it was Rhaegar, though.
Yeah.
It was consensual.
Rhaegar was busy at the Harrenhal then. Officer.
Ricky, speak up.
No.
He made her cry. That was it. That's all we know happened to her.
Wait. Rhaegar made Lyanna cry?
Yeah, playing the harp.
Yeah.
So
we don't know that he made.
He wasn't playing it for her. He was just playing it, and it made her cry.
Did he make Ashara cry?
Then Benjen dumped the. I don't know. Doesn't say.
So why do you guys think Rhaegar and Ashara had sex? Like
I think it was Rhaegar because he was pushing prophecy. He thought he was going to make this magic baby. He didn't know who it was going to be with, so he had to sleep with as many as he could. I think he was a fucking whore.
Well, I mean, you can be a whore and you can be obsessed with prophecy, or you can be a whore obsessed with prophecy.
I think he used that prophecy to convince them. He used it as much as he believed it.
Well, listen.
He said, look, you're going to save the world if we do this. Come on, let's go have sex. You're saving the world. You're going to let everybody die? Come on. I mean,
I'm not the person to talk to right now.
I mean, you know what I mean? He could totally use that against him. You could totally use that against somebody. And a 15, 16-year-old girl that's got googly eyes over the prince.
What they want to hear.
Over the prince.
Bran,
the prince of the fucking seven.
Bran, I can talk louder than you, dude. You don't think telling people what they want to hear makes them do things they don't think they would otherwise do?
My point.
Oh, God.
Rhaegar he's not the good guy everybody makes him out to be.
No, he's a fucking bullshit artist with Viserys wig. Like he's a busted like dollar store wig happening. Like no.
Then why are you arguing with me?
I'm not.
Right.
I'm just yelling. I don't know that I'm arguing. What's happening?
All right. So, Bran, you have to know by now how I feel about Rhaegar and how much I just, and all Targaryens for that matter. But I don't think he was out whoring himself in any way. I mean, I
don't think he looked at it as he was whoring. He thought he was trying to produce prophecy. I mean, he literally thought he was this Azor Ahai or whatever prince that was promised, or he was going to have the prince that was promised. He was convinced that. So he was able to convince them that.
Fuck!
He needed 3 heads of the dragon.
Exactly.
The dragon needs 3 heads. Blah, 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 blah.
There's your 3. The Black Brides.
Okay. So, if he's out sleeping with all these other girls, where are his bastards at, though?
They're Targaryen. Look at Ashara. She had a stillborn. Supposedly. I mean, whatever. If you believe it or not. I mean, the Targaryens had trouble conceiving.
I'm too grouchy to answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, well, Dario, good point. Dario and Daenerys. Daenerys can't be just non-fertile for X amount of time and then all of a sudden start. She's just not fertile. Or it didn't work. The Targaryens aren't.
Mary Master, best birth control ever.
Right.
I think riding the dragon probably did something to her because she was reconnecting with her heritage and everything.
Ricky, say that one more time louder so I can hear it. I'm sorry.
Well, she doesn't have her period until she rides Drogon, right?
Yeah.
That's Fred.
Yeah. So I think
I can't pay
Go
attention
ahead,
to the
sorry.
chat and the people talking at the same time. I'm very limited in my capabilities. Ricky, tell me what you're happening. Yeah, she gets her, like, she's got a irregular period. Mary Mazdur told her she was infertile. Like, she either miscarries or gets her period or whatever happens in the Dothrak PC. And it's like, what were you saying about that?
I'll answer you here in a second, Sanchez.
Somehow the dragon, riding the dragons, opened that up because she's reconnecting with her Targaryen roots and everything in some way. On that.
Sanchez, this is not a story about ice and fire coming together. It is not a story about them coming together and overcoming.
What?
It's about ice. This is not a story about ice and fire coming together to
It's
overcome.
not? It's not?
No.
Okay.
It's about
It's about ice coming. If the basis or the inspiration for Martin for this series was the Ice and Fire poem by Robert Frost. In that poem, it says nothing about ice and fire coming together. It says ice can destroy the world or fire can destroy the world. That's all it says. It doesn't.
Let me talk on this. The story is not about ice beating fire or fire beating ice in any way, shape, or form. It's about two destructive forces are just as dangerous and they need to be balanced. The others are just as dangerous as Dany and the Targaryens and her dragons are to the realm.
Where you see it as balance, I see it as this. It's they're taking turns trying to end the same. They're going for the same goal, but they're taking turns. Ice had its turn. Now it's Fire's turn. That's why we're going to have the Light King. Thank you, Shane. By the way, the Light King and the Light Queen. We have all fire imagery. All the characters that are important or playing a role have fire imagery associated. We're having a Light King and a Light Queen.
I think it's more about the balance, and Jon Snow being ice and fire will make the balance.
We'll talk later, Ricky.
All right, I'm good.
I'll show you some of the shit I found, and I mean, I agree. There's balance to it. There is but I don't think that's the point of it. I mean, it's an anti-war story. You know, it's people coming together to defend themselves against the supernatural. It's not, they got to work together to beat it. They're not going to just.
And to quote, like, old Nan, you've got the Maesters talking about stuff. Like, old Nan is like,
okay,
the White Walkers come and they come after.
What brought the White Walkers? What brought the White Walkers? It wasn't the Long Night. It was the Blood Betrayal. The Blood Betrayal brought the White Walkers.
Okay,
so
you're going way too quick for me right now.
I mean, the Long Night came with the others.
It's a story with a lot of different elements in it. And since we're missing 2 books and we can't go completely by the TV show, nobody's right or wrong. You all everybody has an opinion.
Jen, welcome back. Thank you.
I just got to get that out of here because I've had that pin up for a little while. I had to get that out.
Well, there's different stories on what brought the others, wasn't it?
No, it was the blood betrayal that caused the Lion of Night to bring him and release him and the demons.
Yeah, but they only talk about it in the East.
I guess I always thought, and forgive me, but like parallel to our actual world was like there's this supernatural thing happening, like global warming, like whatever. Like, I'm not trying to make it political, but there's all these like extra planetary effects, like extra things happening. And we're also obsessed with like, does Marjorie look like Lyanna?
we obsess over every little detail. That's
but
the
it doesn't
luxury we
fucking
have.
matter. Like, to quote Sir Davos Seaworth, does it matter which skeleton sits the Iron Corpse when? He said that. He said that, motherfuckers. He said that.
What brings them back, Sanchez? What do you mean? It's Fireside. They're the fire. I mean, Martin told us.
Does it matter which
Fire Whites
skeleton sits on Iron Throne?
Melisandre and Jon are different. They're a very different kind, and Yeah, but agreed. They are being brought back by the fire side this time. That's why you didn't have the fire on the first time, and now we're seeing a bunch of fire whites. There was a blood betrayal that brought the white ice zombies back, but we're seeing fire whites being made. Thank you, Fred. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say ice. For what I've tasted of desire, hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough to hate. I know enough of hate to say, just to say for destruction, ice also is great and would
Love
suffice.
that Robert Frost.
Exactly. That doesn't say anything about them coming together. They're saying, fire can destroy, or fire will destroy. Ice will destroy. They both will destroy, but they're both nice to do. I mean, it's both. They would equally do it if they're capable. That's the way I read it, anyway. They're equally capable of destroying the planet, basically.
I think I think the whole story is a bit also about balance.
Thank you, Jen.
I don't see it. I mean, the magic's been too fluctuation. There's not magic, then there is magic, then there's Melisandre even says she's more powerful in places. It's too much scaling up and down. If it was about balance, and there should have been an even ground somewhere at some point. It's either gone or it's there.
I think everything's about balance.
It's an Armageddon tale. Exactly, Fred. They're trying to destroy the world. And the ice had their turn, and now it's fire's turn.
So I have a question.
I could parallel everything, too.
When Melisandre says that, like, she looks in the fire and she sees the great other with, like, a wolf's head, like, is it Blood Raven? Is it...
Yeah.
Is it and Bran? Like, is Bran the great other now too?
No,
I think he could be used by Blood Raven for.
But my question is, she looks in the.
We're taking Melisandre's interpretation. They don't necessarily mean that they're an enemy.
So she looks, yeah. She looks in the flame and she sees snow. So it's like, but like, Jon Snow and Bran are like basically brothers. Like, if they're not brothers, then they're what? And cousins? I don't know. What the fuck? But like, they're family. How does this all work out?
I mean,
when Melisandre sees the face of the wolf,
yes,
it's important to know that Melisandre thinks that the great other is just completely evil, that she and the R'hllor is completely good, and it's that black and white. So she sees this, and obviously it's evil because it's not fire related; it's related to the ice and everything. But it could just be that Blood Raven and them are tapping in and looking right back at her.
So
right, it could be just the same magics. They're both magic. They're both the same kind of magics. They're basically the same thing. They're just opposite sides of the coin. It's the duality of everything.
But like,
that's why we get the ice and fire.
Aren't we all like rooting for Bran and sort of like hating Melisandre because she wanted to like, she's gonna fucking burn Shireen? You know what I mean? Like,
she probably is.
As far as I was rooting for Bran. So.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Bran eats Jojen, but like, he doesn't know it, and he's not actually evil. And Melisandre is like totally ready to fucking burn up Edric Storm and is pissed when Davos sends him away. And I think Melisandre is the one who's like out for fucking child blood.
And think about this.
Yeah.
If she's the Light Queen, and she takes somebody's seed and has a child, that makes her a light bringer.
Wait. So what was that thing that killed Renly?
A shadow baby?
Yeah.
Was
Shadow
that a
baby.
light bringer?
She's the light bringer. John touches her at the wall. She produces heat. She's the only person or thing that is, as Aemon says, Aemon asks, does Stannis' sword glow, get warm? No. John touches her at the wall. She just radiating heat. Don't need it, nothing like that. She's the light bringer. She's a literal light bringer. She's not the sword.
And how they like try to communicate that on the show is that like she like busts off her clothes and like gets all up on Jon Snow. Like that does not happen in the books. But like like her demonstrating her warmth is a little like
Yes, Fred.
HBO. Jen, where did you go? Where are you?
I'm right here watching the chat.
Yeah, monitor that chat.
Are you on Amino, Sarah?
I'm not, but like you can't expect me to have so many social media accounts.
It was asked in the chat. That's why.
Oh, someone asked on Amino. No, I mean like I'll get on Amino. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on Twitter. I barely understand Facebook. Like, sure, I'll get on Amino, but like, it's not going to help anyone. You know what I mean?
I love this discussion so much and frustrating from chat.
Ricky, what'd you say?
You and me have to get in touch and talk about Jojen Pace later.
Oh, Jojen Pace totally happened. It absolutely happened. Jojen Pace. Like, there's no doubt in my, like, I don't think that's tinfoil. I think that Bran ate Jojen. The whole fucking chapter is about like human sacrifice, and it's like there was a pace that had like blood vessels in it, and Jojen went missing.
Fred, I think you're completely right about the werewoods bringing back playing a part in bringing back people too. When like Barrack and I know you mentioned that before one time, and I like that a lot actually.
Have werewolves brought back anyone?
Well, we assume that Lady Stoneheart and Barrack were brought back by the Red Priest, but every time they were brought back, they were in like the werewood cave or near werewoods. So we don't know that. We don't know where.
Nymeria. Oh, I burped. Nymeria doesn't. Nymeria like bring Lady like the corpse.
Drags the wolf dragging the fish out of the wolf with the fish in its mouth. Yeah.
Doesn't I guess listen. I read Eddard 6. I didn't read that chapter, but like, doesn't Nymeria drag her own mother out of the fucking river?
She does it in the Warden Dream. Yep.
Yeah. Shit.
And somebody tells her, like in the first couple of chapters of this book, something about a fit. It was John telling her that what's she going to take as a sigil? A wolf with a fish in her mouth.
Wait, what? Tell that.
John in like the second chapter, says that she's going to take a sigil with a wolf with a fish in its mouth, combining the Tully and the Stark.
Well. First men and what have you.
So, I mean, what happened with Patchface and Davos somehow surviving in the ocean? I mean, they went around nowhere.
Davos is a little understandable. I mean, he ended up on a rock. He's been around water all his life. He got to the rock. But Patchface, I don't really... He's an anomaly. I'll give you that. I don't know.
I'm going to pause on this. If you guys are still here when I come back, awesome. If not, have a good night. I'm going to be right back.
All right. I don't really have any answers for you on Patchface. That fucker is weird.
You think that Davos was just looking at... He ended up on a rock or something and he didn't actually drown?
No, I don't think he drowned. I mean... if you're out there in a rough sea like that, especially like him. I mean, he's been a smuggler his entire life. He's been on the water his entire life. It's fight or flight at that point. You're going to kick. You're going to swim, and especially if you know how to. I don't see that. I don't see a scenario where he wouldn't at least try. Yeah, he might have got to the rock and passed the fuck out, but I don't think he'd have just stopped, and drowned.
He attributed that to the fate for the Seven bringing him back. That's when he goes off to Melisandre.
Yeah, I think even Martin compares that to. Somebody asked him about miracles. When will we see the Seven do miracles? And he used that as an example.
Yeah. So nothing on Patch Face coming back though?
I really don't know what I mean, he's obviously prophetic. He's got something. But I can't say what. I can't say, I don't know who. I mean, unless they're a deep one kind of scenario, or it's just a third cap, or it's the Roynish magic, the water magic that we don't really see much of.
Definitely, I think he's prophetic. And also, he had a near-death experience, or he did die. And sometimes when people do die, like even in real life, when they do die, when they come back, they have kind of a sixth sense. But I do think it's more than that with Patch Face, more than even a sixth sense.
He's just so hard to get a good beat on because it's so off the wall. It's hard to say for certain what he's talking about.
We really just need more information.
Yeah, definitely.
And Davos, I agree with Bran. He was a smuggler. He grew up on the water. It's like when somebody rides horses for a long time, we say, saying is, they've been riding since they were knee-high to a grasshopper. He's been on the water since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. He, probably floated on his back, swam till he couldn't swim no more, maybe just got lucky and came upon that rock, or
you can float.
Passed out.
You can float for hours and hours and hours.
Missing.
He was under the water getting turned around. I mean, I could see that slipping off his head.
True, that is.
Wasn't he from Flea Bottom? Like, do you get a lot of swimming in Flea Bottom?
No, but he had been.
They're right there on the coast.
Yeah.
And then he smuggled his entire life.
King's Landing is a bay, and so
sure, okay.
So he was that's what he had always done. That's how I read it. Is like that was always his kind of work, working on boats, then smuggling, etc. But I do think there's something more to those finger bones, and they just slipped off in the water.
Well, Melisandre mentions.
Y'all think there's something to those finger bones or not? Hey, Milt.
Patchface is Aquaman, according to Milt.
Melisandre mentions later when she's talking to Mance about how bones hold glamour. She does mention finger bones being used for glamours.
Exactly.
So I don't know how.
Okay, question for you, or for all of you, I guess. What's your take on the face changing? I mean,
glamour.
Is it just glamoring, or is it something different?
I think some of it is glamoring, but I think definitely like Arya's magic, the faceless, when they literally do the faces, that's an entirely different thing.
Well, I'll stop you there. I think that's just what we see on the show. I don't think it's nothing like that, because I think, doesn't he just move his hand in front of his face and it changed in the books? I'm pretty sure that's how it worked.
Who are you talking about specifically?
Jaqen H'ghar.
Jaqen, yeah.
He goes like this, and it like
and that was also in the show.
Yeah, they did that well.
Then she's carrying around all those faces. I don't think that you have to carry around a face. You have to carry on one. The one you got on.
That it's not like them literally skinning faces like it is in the show. It's just them using glamour.
I totally think it's glamoring is all it is, and I think we see that's kind of part of what we see with Melisandre. I don't think that's her real dreams or her real visions. Melanie, I think that's the face she's wearing.
All right, did we get all the way through the chapter with everything we had to say about the chapter?
Yep. I think so.
Did anybody want to touch on the fact that Tobo Mott wears that sapphire? Because we know gems mean different things in our story, like the tiger's eye. They mean you're associated with different orders and such.
Where I missed that Tobo Mott had a sapphire.
A sapphire the size of a pigeon's egg.
Oh, look it up.
I forgot about that, them being factions like that, because it says that about Illyrio. He would change his rings around.
And so you can be identified to each other by, different things that you wear. And I wonder, is the sapphire, so I think that would give us some insight into his doors. And
Sanchez, I think he wears the face, and then it's a warring ability kind of deal. I think it's they have to have the innate magic. That's why they got Arya, because she has this innate skin changing ability. There's a difference between skin changing and warring, and I think that's why Arya was picked over Bran or Jon. They're all wargs, but I think Arya is a skin changer.
Blood War Blogging says, well, if I'm not wrong, Illyrio has a sapphire.
Yeah, he's got like all of them. He's the only one associated with all 8 stones.
And how
him and Taro.
So, Bran, do you think Jaqen wears something to face change? I guess he's
his face.
Talking about like Melisandre wears her ruby.
The face is the magical item, the catalyst.
Like you only need one.
Yeah, that's all you need. All you need is the face.
He wears the big sapphire to attract the ladies.
Yeah,
it would attract some ladies. It would.
Do we know like what faction sapphires belong to though?
Yeah, I don't know that.
I'm gonna look it up real quick, guys.
Yeah, please do, because that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. That's a good thought.
And I almost forgot as well.
I will say, as a person who was born in September, it is the September birthstone sapphire.
I hear you. A pretty stone.
What's not to like? It's blue.
Right.
Yeah, Fred, it is an extreme of the warring, which I guess Bran is a skin changer too, because he changes more than that. But I mean, they're pretty specific with Jon. He's a warg. He's a warg. He's a warg, and I think it's because it's only his direwolf.
Is the difference between the warg and skin changing? Is the warg's only a wolf or
his wolf? Yeah. Yeah, wolf is a warg, and then if you're doing something else, like the sea lions and the Farwinds, they would be selkies, and that's a mythological term, but Martin uses it twice, I think.
So how come Varamir doesn't call himself a skin changer?
Yeah, I was gonna say I always thought warg and skin changer were like interchangeable terms.
No, there is a difference.
Tell me the difference.
I mean, warging is wolf specific.
Warging? No, I don't. Is it?
Yes.
I think if you're a warg, you can change into other animals. Like you're not necessarily bound to a wolf.
You could be a skin changer and a warg, but you're not a warg and a skin. Wait, is that right? One or the other. I mean, if you're a warg, you don't have to be a skin changer. But if you're a skin changer, you're definitely a warg.
I thought they were interchangeable terms.
Me too.
No. Nope.
Me too. So
like if you're like you like your preference is a wolf, but like you like to go like rape ladies in a shadow cat, like so fucking.
You're technically a skin changer.
Yeah,
you do
you're a warg. You're a warg / no. Okay, all right.
Skin changer is a collective. Skin changer is a collective of all of them. And warging is when just the specific animal. It's like the Farwinds warging sea lions. That's a specific animal that makes them selkies. But if I guess
about them though.
Farwinds, fuck yeah.
Who cares about them?
Gilbert King.
I know, but like, who else, really? Gilbert King wants to go explore, but like, who else?
He's probably the smartest guy in the series. Sam West.
Boar.
Yeah. Who?
I don't know.
You think Bloodraven? You think Bloodraven killed Prince Robert? King Robert? You think?
I don't think he had to.
You think the one-eyed? He took the eye out of the pig that killed him. One eye.
Probably did.
I don't think he had to.
He was probably drunk as hell and just.
Right.
Exactly.
He claimed that he took the one eye out of the pig that killed him.
Now, he could have controlled the pig to make it available for the chase, but like Ricky and Bran are saying, he was so drunk and so dead set on being foolhardy that I think all he had to do, he might have provided the opportunity, but I don't think that he played a part in it.
Isn't it kind of hinted that his wine is poisoned by Lancel?
Well, he wasn't poisoned, but I think he was like overly like.
Yeah, it was strong wine.
Date raped. He was like, strong wine.
Here, you drink beer. Here's some Everclear. Try that.
Yeah,
you'll like it.
Yeah, and here's the shit you like. Here's it 4 times stronger and have twice as much. You know, like fucking Lancel, and that's why I think poor Lancel. I mean, really, all this is supposed to be about is Eddard 6, but.
And we always get off topic at the end.
Yeah, we always.
At least we didn't have a half hour to talk about food in the middle.
We sure did.
Food. No, here's the thing. Like, I will say, I got all gooey and crazy, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much for you all talking to me about Song of Ice and Fire. So thank you so much. Like, one of the other reasons I love coming on here is because like I hear people with different accents, and like, thank you all so much for not like openly making fun of me for talking differently.
I love the way you talk, and I've always liked you, Sarah, and nobody's gonna make fun of anybody on here. I won't have it.
We have fun. We have different opinions, but we enjoy discussing those different opinions.
So, yeah, and like even when I'm like, I get all bent out of shape when someone like has an opinion that's different than mine and I don't agree with it and like whatever, but it's still like a fun conversation. But I'm like, holy shit, we got New Orleans, we've got Florida, we've got North Carolina, and then we've got me who like, I don't know. I'm
part of being an adult is being able to agree to disagree. Well, now, generally people who like the same things are generally attracted to each other.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, some of the best friends I've ever had are completely different than I am.
The fact is, we all are attracted to the same thing here.
Off the wiki fandom. Aemon Targaryen was known to put a sapphire in place of his missing eye. And then just the reference about Tarth being
the Sapphire
Isles. And then Dagmere. Remember Dagmere, who was kind of Theon's kind of nursemaid when he was growing up. He was known to wear many rings, one of them with a sapphire. I don't think that necessarily means anything. It's, maybe sapphire is something people who were Targaryen supporters wear.
Jules pointed out that's, well, I guess you did too, but September, but that's George R.R. Martin's birthday too.
It's my birthday.
Okay, awesome. And we use, I would imagine that a writer, they always say if you're going to write something you know about. I would imagine using his birthstone as a reference would be something quite enjoyable and a little snippet.
They do well at pawn shops, in case anyone was wondering, and we're not going to talk about it more than that. But yeah, okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Thank you, dears. Yeah, I was born in September, and I have a sapphire ring that I was recently reacquainted with.
I'm glad.
Yes, that's Milt the trivia guy.
Do we have any questions in the chat? Just anything. We've obviously gotten super off topic, so just anything.
Super off topic.
The Titan of Greek god, Ned said dryly, the gods are doing the best of Vexus. Lady Lysa, Maester Coleman, Lord Stannis, everyone who might actually know the truth of what? And what happened to Jon Arryn is 1,000 leagues away. Irony, Baelish was pretending to aid Ned the entire time and was right under his nose. Had Lysa poisoned Jon Arryn.
Barristan's a fucking asshole, and I don't understand why he's so like favored by people. Like he served so many shitty kings. Okay, stop. I'm gonna mute myself. You guys answer.
What was that, Ricky?
Are we supposed to answer if Barristan's an asshole?
No.
I was just saying it was a good catch with Baelish and the Titan. You know, obviously he's of Ravosi heritage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch that.
Nope. And I even read the notes and didn't catch it till you just said that. The Titan of Bravos.
Earlier. Who's that, Agi? That was a good catch, Agi.
Agirlis.
Agirlis is awesome.
Arya Stark.
Even if she has weird
Talking Tarth. See, every great lord supposedly has a minor rival. Ironwood, Martell, Stark, Lannister, Tully, Frey, Lannister, Reigns. Who's Baratheon's rival?
The Florence. No, that's the Florence are
that's
rivals.
Dragonstone. Dragonstone.
No. Marjorie's family.
Tyrells? No.
Tyrells. The Florence and Tyrells.
The lease was a Florent.
Yeah. Wait, what was your question? Who's okay? Like Valerians maybe fight with Dragonstone.
Baratheons. No, their storm is in.
Oh, who fights with Baratheons? I don't know.
Who's their rival?
John Con, Griffin. I don't know.
That's a good question.
Who are the Stormlords?
The Durandons were, but then the Baratheons took it, and they've not really been rivaled.
Isn't the Celtigars from Stormlands?
Celtigars are
Celtigars.
I think they're an island, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're off Dragonstone.
They got a horn. They got a cracking horn.
Who's the like?
Ricky, your mic's kind of messed up.
Is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we barely hear you at times, and I think that's how you've been talked over.
We're not actually.
Say that again.
Yeah, love, Ricky, love. We're actually not that polite. It's just that we can't hear you sometimes. So we're like, Ricky, what did you just say? Like,
the Starks get their warging ability from the Warg King from Sea Dragon Point. The Starks took the Warg King's women and coupled with them. Yes. Yes, I knew there was Sarah somewhere. I think that plays into basically the blood betrayal, Marie. Because I think it's actually Bloodraven who caused the blood betrayal. He's actually the Azor Ahai character, and Melisandre's the Lightbringer. Chardane being the bleeding star. Or Sierra Seathar being the leading star.
Yes, blood where there was. That's what Marie was just saying.
Not Chardane. Sierra. And I saw something weird the other day. Sierra said in one of these languages meant, what was it? Star of the ocean.
Wasn't Sierra?
So her name's Sarah.
She was Bloodraven's girlfriend. Like, she's super old.
And Aegor's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is he.
Yeah, but like they're like 200 years old, or like 100 years.
No, they're not.
Okay.
125. Bloodraven's 125, and she's roughly that.
Okay, but like, why are we talking about them?
Because they are key. They're the reason the others are back. The blood betrayal, I think, was Daemon Targaryen when he slew his brother.
All right, Marie says, and by the way, the children of the forest were also fighting against the Starks at the time. So there is a reason why they want Brandon Stark, as he does not fit the description of a green seer. She was Bloodraven's sister.
That's why he's not. That's why Blood Raven's the last Green Seer, not Bran. I don't think he's going to be he might have visions or something, but he won't be a Green Seer. The Green Seers are done at the end.
So when you say Green Seer and Warg and Skin Changer are all different.
Mm-hmm.
I see a Skin Changer as someone who can change to a different animal. A Warg, I see Skin Changer and Warg as sort of the same. But like a Green Seer is someone who can see the future.
No, I don't think I see the future because the trees haven't seen the future.
Dreams, right?
Yeah, they could have prophetic dreams, I guess, but
like
they don't see the future.
Jojen is a Green Seer, but he's not a Warg.
Oh, he's not. He's not a Green Seer. He has green dreams, but he's not a Green Seer.
He's not?
He's like Melisandre. He has prophetic visions, or the dragon dreams, I should say. I mean, he has prophetic.
Who's a Green Seer?
Blood Raven. Blood Raven is a Green Seer. Bran is a Green Seer. Or, well, he's a proxy Green Seer, I guess, technically.
Maria Bran for a different reason. And I'd like to know if Blood Raven had to drink that red stuff.
I'm sure he did. They induced those psychedelic trips.
And Marie goes on to say, because green seeing should be inherent and Bran shouldn't need to drink anything. Milt says, Jojen has the green sight. And let me jump back to Aggie. There's a lot of misdirection with looks. Jojen does look like a Green Seer, but says he's not. Okay, Sarah, go ahead, babe.
Please continue. You were talking on. You were speaking truth.
Well, I was just reading the chats. And Marie goes on to say, Arya, the Green Seer is described the same way over and over. Milt says he's not a Green Seer. Milt, I just imagined you kind of being like, he's not a Green Seer. Go ahead, then, Sarah. What were you going to say?
I can't remember, dear.
I'm sorry. We've got a question from Fred.
Every literal sense you can imagine.
Yeah, I have 0 warging, green sight, skin changing. I have none of that. I'm just here with glasses sometimes.
Okay. Fred says, Blood Raven is called the last Green Seer. What does that make Bran?
The next?
Not a Green Seer. Not a Green Seer.
Angel C says Bran is undefined. Aya Stark, Aggie says, right, Fred. And Marie says, Fred, that is what makes me wonder. Ricky, what do you think?
I missed the question.
What is Bran? Is he a Green Seer? Is he not a Green Seer?
He's the great other.
I think he's a Green Seer. I mean, Blood Raven after him for a reason.
I thought that he was too. So this whole conversation about he's not has got me spinning.
I just put a little thing out there. I do believe that Blood Raven probably had to drink the red stuff, which I believe literally just werewood paste. I don't think Jojen did at all. Bran has eaten people before, okay? When he was inside Summer, he did eat human beings.
That's true.
Abomination.
And what's his face? Cold Hands was like, oh yeah, I found pork. He didn't find pork.
Yeah.
He found the nice one. And he was like, here you go. Here's some meat. Okay,
Bloodware Brogan said, okay, you have got a super fan in Fred Targaryen's Uncle Daddy, Sarah.
What?
Bloodware Blogging says there's no great other. Marie says the children of the forest want him for his Stark blood. Angel C says Jojen says he's not a Green Seer. Fred says, I need to talk to that girl in Amino chat. Sarah, you got it. Jules is laughing at Fred, and Milk K says Bran is like any number divided by 0, undefined.
Undefined. And Fred, I'm just going to tell you right now, boo, I'm a huge fucking disappointment. So just take
that. And is in his own category. And Marie says Bloodraven could do all manner of things when he was Hand of the King.
Yeah, no, he was
a rumor that he could warg a hound and also a frog.
Yeah, no, like those stupid novellas with like Dunk and Egg. Like, who the fuck cares about Dunk and Egg? It's all about Bloodraven and like what the fuck he was up to, like with his like little glamours and like pretending to be people that he wasn't, and then all of a sudden he comes in and he like breaks up. He's like the fucking bouncer who like comes into the park.
Bran is the great other. You are right, Sarah.
What? Oh my goodness.
You got supporters.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. No, you really should join Amino though. Just there's some good reading on there. So
this is our group here on Amino right here.
No,
basically.
Here's the thing, like I love anyone who is willing to talk to me. So, like, if it's via Amino,
good friends on there. Misty of House Stark, I met on there. I knew a girl is for a while before I asked her, and then I found out Bran knew her because I knew Bran was on Amino.
A girl is the shit.
But you've really got to get on there.
Amino, like,
hello, Jake.
What am I on? I'm on like some recent thing where I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I got here. I don't know what is going on.
Talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where my phone is, so I can't even tell you what it is. It's
Discord.
Yeah. How did you know I'm on Discord?
Yeah. I sent you the link to come in. It's the room I set up.
Is it possible that Bloodraven skin changed into Bran, and that is why Bloodraven is the last one, because his soul is not dead? I don't think he did.
I don't believe it.
He went out into the atmosphere.
Right. Are we talking show or book?
Description in the prologue of Dance, where Varamir Sixskins is talking about that Jon Snow's wolf would be a great second life, but then he goes on to describe that when you die, your final death, your true death, I believe it's what it's called, you just kind of go into every living thing, the trees, the birds,
and that
everything is just kind of a consciousness.
Sort of, like, contrary to like when like Melisandre in the show, Melisandre's like, what did you see, Jon Snow? What did you see when you were dead? And he's like, I saw nothing.
No, that's
like really.
What do you think about the whole Rob dying twice? Rob dying twice.
I think that what's his face with the fucking accent did a nice video on it recently. What's his name?
Alt Shift X.
Alt Shift X. Where's he from? Australia? New
Australia.
Zealand? Yeah.
I thought he's British.
Me too.
No, he's Australian.
Yeah.
He's Australian.
He says, I think Bran will be integral, but in the end, the lessons he learned from his father will kick in at the end, and Bran will remember his father.
So, to jump back to the question before, what do I think about Rob dying twice? I think it's fucking possible, and that much. That much.
Could he die a third time?
Where is he going to go the third time? Like, he's going to go to his wolf? Because, like, when he dies, the last thing you think...
What's the next closest thing to him?
Well, they describe that as being a death fit for a king in the Varamir Sixskins prologue.
Then you got Catelyn right there.
When Jon
compare
died...
Catelyn's death. Compare what Catelyn does when she dies to Varamir trying to work thistles. They both rip at their face, claw at their face, rip their tongue out.
No, because she's possessed.
No,
you're saying that he possesses Catelyn?
I'm asking what you thought about it.
Oh, I think that what's his face? Okay, there's a dude. He's very into like astronomy. What's his fucking name?
LML.
Yeah,
which means Blackbeard.
Oh. What does he say? He says the werewood stigmata with like the crying tears. And he has this whole like imagery thing happening with like, it makes you just think about every time someone who's dying who like rakes their face and like cries tears. And like has red hair and white skin and cries blood and whatever. What was I talking about?
I just bringing up the idea. It's pretty sad for the second death.
The second death, yeah, like I think it's absolutely fucking likely that like he's the least, like we don't ever fucking hear from Robb. Like he's like the most important character in the whole books that we don't get a first, like we hear about him from Catelyn.
Mm-hmm.
And like we don't ever really hear, like I'm sure like if fucking Sansa is a warg, like he's a motherfucking warg too. Excuse my language. If I ever apply for a new job,
well, they're all
don't come
wargs.
back to this. Yeah, they're all wargs. So like when he dies, he thinks of Grey Wind. When Jon dies, he thinks of Ghost. And like Ghost is the reason that fucking Jon is coming back, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and yeah. So
Actually, okay, I'm not going into that. That's too much tinfoil right now.
it's too much tinfoil. Now's the time, dear.
Everything that goes to my head.
Okay,
Now's the
what-
time.
anybody in the chat, anybody have anything else you'd like to talk about or touch on? Please put it in there now.
Well,
Just read that to Mike.
George did say, like last year, that he regrets not making Robb a POV over any other character.
Yeah. Like, don't you think that would be so fucking interesting to be like, oh, I got stabbed and then I got taken care of by this like bitch. And so I decided to have sex with her, and then I decided to marry her, and her name is Jane Westerling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck was going through his head when he decided to marry Jane Westerling? What? Honor? Fuck Honor! Honor got your dad killed, motherfucker. Like, move on.
That's what has been ingrained into your brain. You're going to do it.
I don't know, man. Take her with you. Make her, like, a super special, like, guest, but like your dad got fucking killed for that dumb shit. Like perhaps
Ricky, what?
Ricky, I can't hear you. It's not that I'm being rude. It's just that I literally fucking can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't really know how to fix that. I'm not good with technology.
No, just be loud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That worked, Ricky.
The point of Robb marrying Jane Westerling is actually, I always thought was pretty crucial because it shows how much he's like Ned. He makes this bad mistake, and then he does what he thinks his father would do, the honorable thing. And that's what got him killed, just like Ned. It's showing that he is his father's son.
I think
And it's also showing us that Ned wasn't with the Shire or anything. If he would have slept with Wyla, he would have married Wyla. He wouldn't marry Catelyn. He would have done the honorable thing. And what was that?
I'm freaking out.
Well, it's kind of like what Cersei or Baelish tells Ned Stark, that he wears his honor like a damn it. He wears his honor like armor around him, and he thinks it protects him, but it really weighs him down.
Very good analogy, Ricky. I gotta pop this in here.
And like to go back, like Melisandre.
Hold on.
Milk says, I gotta pop this in. It's hilarious. Milk K says, Robb wanted more of the same, like Lothar Tyrell. Oh shoot, hold on, I lost the quote. I'm gonna shit. Okay. Milk, where'd you go? Okay. Robb wanted more of the same, like Lothar Tyrell wanted after Olenna visited him. And let's remember, Robb was a 15-year-old virgin who probably so yeah, you know, he was being honorable, yes, but he also got turned out, so to speak, and liked it.
Well, here's the thing. Rob could have fucked some random. Sorry. Like where I'm from, you're allowed to just say that. So yeah, Rob could have just fucked some random chick and like been like on with it, but he was being manipulated by that fucking Spicer bitch. Like, yeah, like whatever the fuck her mother was. Yeah, like his mother was a Spicer and grabbing, and she's like, oh yes, you can capture the crag and get injured, and then my little daughter's gonna take care of you, and like, you know, all of those things, and then you're gonna need to marry, like that fucking.
If you know your enemy is dishonorable and they're gonna do that, aren't you going to use it against them?
Say it again. I think if you I don't blame. If I know my enemy's
going to be that honorable, that's going to do that right thing, he's going to do the honorable thing, use it against him. You're making your weakness.
I'm not blaming the women. Like, listen, dude, I'm a feminist, man. Like, I'm not like blaming the women for using the fucking institution.
I'm sticking up for Tywin.
I think Sybil Spicer was hedging her bets.
Sybil Spicer,
yeah,
Sybil Spicer like fucking pimped out her own goddamn daughter.
She did. But I think she was hedging her bets. So on the one hand, if Rob would have came out, then she's the daughter of the mother of the queen. On the other hand, if it come out bad, or she decided it was going to come out bad, she sold him out to Tywin, basically.
So she's a fucking bitch who is like scheming.
And about that.
So I think that the person that Jaime meets with, I can't remember what book. Is it A Dance of Dragons? Is it the one before that, Feast for Crows? Like they talk about her hips. Like Catelyn's like, oh, she's got good birthing hips. And then she goes missing with the blackfish. And then like Jaime meets with like Sybil Spicer and this like Bobo girl who he's like, is that worth like kingdom? I don't know. And I don't think I'm inclined, like, okay, here's me with my tinfoil. I'm inclined to believe that that girl is not actually Jane Westerling, is some other dum-dum who, like, Sybil Spicer had brought through when Jaime was making peace in the Rurallands or whatever. But, like, I don't know. I hate that whole storyline. I really do. I'm sorry. But like, listen, we're Eddard 5. We're Eddard 6 in Game of Thrones. We're not even there yet, guys.
That's why we do this at the end.
It's so late. Like, it's so late. It's so past my bedtime.
You're fine, sweetie. Marie wants to remind us that basically Tywin did the same thing Sybil Spicer did. He wanted to marry Cersei to Rhaegar. When he got turned down and treated like a servant, he hedged his bets and put his weight behind Robert. But he wanted to do anything to make Cersei queen. And you can almost say the same thing for the Tyrells. You know, money.
Yeah, they're all ambitious, and you can't blame them. I mean, what the fuck? Like, that's the only thing you can do is like whore out your own goddamn kids. I'm sorry, I'm cursing a lot.
It's late though, and
LinkedIn, do not look at that.
And you know, you're a little bit buzzed, and that's fine. It's okay. We love you, and Fred certainly loves you.
Oh, where's he from? Let me give him my bank account. Just
kidding.
Are you sure your name's not Spicer?
Spicer.
Fred. Don't listen to it.
Yeah.
We need to shut this shit down.
Bran, I'm fine. I'm teasing. Bran, I'm fine. I love you for caring, but I'm fine.
Okay.
Gosh.
Anybody?
Is Ricky still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi,
everybody here. Anybody in the chat? Throw a topic out or throw a question out about the chapter or something.
Give everybody a shout out,
etc. What, Bran?
Give everybody a shout out. Who all was in there? Who all was in there today?
Give everybody a shout out. I want to thank Angel C. Thank you so much. Jules Elizabeth, always good to see you. Marie, thank you so much. Mill, such a pleasure.
For the misunderstanding.
What?
Good. I was apologizing to Marie.
Okay. Aggie or Arya, good to see you, babe. Bloodware Blogging, great to see you.
Catlin 5 next week.
LMR, Living My Rhapsody, always nice to see you. Fred Targaryen, Uncle Daddy, good to see you. Let me see. We had Cammy in here earlier. Red Witch, good to see you, babe. Who else was in here earlier that's already left?
Sanchez.
House Sanchez, always good to see him. Justin Thomas, good to see you.
Stacy.
Stacy was in here earlier. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody who comes.
Yeah.
Anybody, anything you want to say? Throw it up here and I'll read it out.
I just want to say, well, like I'm not typing, but I just want to say thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone who hangs out. Like you probably talk to your friends in real life and they're like, oh, you like Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire? And they're like, okay, you like it a little too much. Well, here's where you come. Like it's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Support group. Exactly. It's our support group.
And
that's why you're welcome here anytime.
That's why I started doing this, because my husband, I finally got him to start watching the show in season 3. But sometimes when I run these theories by him, he just looks at me like I'm crazy. And some of you guys in the chat know Russell. He's walked through a time or two in his boxer briefs to get a drink. But let me tell you guys what he just said out of the blue last night. We rewatched a couple episodes from season 7, and just all of a sudden, randomly, he looks over at me and he says, the Night's King's going to end up on the Iron Throne, and then Melisandre's going to walk up as the Ice Queen and stand right next to him and put her hand on his shoulder. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay. I hope not, but okay. And I was very shocked by that. But Cammie, I thought you'd enjoy that because I know you're a Night King fan. Big time. Also, I wanted to tell everybody, I do have a GoFundMe page. The link is in here. If you can't donate, that's fine. I understand. I'm broke myself. Just got a job today at the Dollar Tree because I've been disabled for quite some time, but I'm allowed to work a part-time job, and my arm is just now getting to where I feel like I can do that, so I'm going to do it. I have my tickets to Con of Thrones. My mom is paying half my hotel. My brother is giving me my spending money, but I don't think our 18-year-old Kia van will make it. So I need to rent a car, which is $410. I've asked for $500 on my GoFundMe page. If you can't donate, that's fine. Hey, share it for me. If you can't do that, just send me good thoughts and love. Much appreciated, y'all. Also, Marie Hill left her page on here. In a few weeks on Bran's channel or somebody's channel, we'll let you know. We're going to be going over a theory that's a 3-part. She has a 3-part video to it. Bran, I'll let you explain more about this theory. I don't know it as well as you guys, but the point is Marie left.
It's just an end game. It's just an end game theory that we've all come to the conclusion could happen, and we all came about it different ways. And that's basically it. And we're going to just have a good discussion about it, hopefully. Right,
and have a live stream about it. So Marie has put her, or she's going to put the link to Game of Theories with Marie, and she has a 3-part series about it. Then Bran also has a theory about it, as does Agirlis or Arya Stark that you've been chatting with in the chat.
And we all 3 came up with about the same idea, different routes.
A little bit different and at different times. So going to be a real live discussion, and it has to do with why oh my God, I sound like hot pop. Why Winterfell is heated, about the hot springs, about possible volcanoes, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Well, Milt's the expert there.
Milt's the expert on everything.
Geophysicist.
Right.
Geophysicist?
I don't know if that's even what it is. He's a smart guy.
Who's a geophysicist? Milt?
Milt.
Who's Milt?
He's in the chat.
Okay,
Brandon, can you share the gangbangers link?
they're so fun. Gangbangers makes me feel like I have friends.
Gangbangers is just where we all share videos, links, anything Game of Thrones that one of us comes across.
We're just like,
You gotta make me a mod. Make me a mod.
good morning.
Yeah.
It's like good morning, and I'm like, good morning. Like,
shoot, Bran, I haven't done it in a long time. I
don't know. Here, I'll shoot it over to Marie. You're still in the chat, right, Marie?
Marie, can you make Bran a mod? I think another mod can make a mod. I can't do it right now because of my computer is not, like, I don't
That's
think
all good.
in the chat.
Marie will have it here in 2 seconds. It's coming to her right.
I do know how to do it when I'm just in my regular page, like, you know, not
Just to her.
open.
She's got it.
You did it? Okay, cool. If you would
She's got
share the gangbangers link, greatly appreciate it, Bran. Cammy would appreciate that. And like I was saying, we just share people's videos, like people maybe you haven't heard of. It's a good place to see it if you didn't get a notification or whatever. Also just news and also just talk to each other. Like, you know, if you're up in the middle of the night because because a lot of us are disabled or what have you, or insomniacs or what have you, you're up in the middle of the night because you can't sleep because your bad back is hurting. Hey, type in and see if anybody's up. You'll find somebody to talk to and help you through it. Help you through anything.
we all like the same story, and there's no shame in all liking the same story. So, Jen, to just like piggyback on what you're saying, like, hey, are you up? And there's like 35 people who are like, yeah, what's up? Like, it's fucking amazing.
And then they might say to you, yeah, but we're over here in Discord playing music. Come over here.
Yeah,
Oh my
and all
God.
of a sudden I'm like, what's Discord?
What are you oh my God about, Bran?
She wants me to type it out. There's no way I can type that out.
Oh gosh, what is it? I guess I could do it.
Capital Y, little y,
Hey.
capital E, capital O, little T.
As
Little
the
L, little
mom
C, little
driving
U.
the minivan of this stream, can we end
Paste
it?
Well, don't worry about it.
Ricky, are you
wait,
still
wait.
Ricky?
Yeah.
Oh, you're still here with us. Fabulous.
Of course he is. Ricky, I want to thank you so much for being a guest. And if you're ever interested in wanting to come on again, just let one of us know. And we usually take turns doing the overview. So if there's a particular chapter that you've got your eye on, just let somebody know.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you come back anytime, man.
Yeah, and Ricky, be in touch.
Okay.
Are you laughing at me?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I've never seen you buzz. I don't believe, Sarah. You've seen me buzzed on the New Year's Eve stream with Teflon.
What?
I said, I don't believe I've ever seen
Ricky,
Sarah
you should
buzz.
hang out because I think that we need to end the stream and then all four of us
Yeah,
chat.
usually we end the stream and then have a chat amongst ourselves
Yeah.
for just a bit.
Can we do that now? No offense, chat. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we've been over 2 hours. All right, chat. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. We're gonna be back next
Ricky,
week with a
you're gonna
Captain
fucking
chapter.
stay.
10
Yeah, I gotta-
o'clock. 8 o'clock Thursday. Shoot. I
See you
think
back.
I'm not sure what number it is. I will post.
It's Catlin 5.
Is it Catlin 5?
Whatever is after
Catlin
Eddard 6, you'll figure it out.
Catlin 5. I just looked it up.
Catelyn 5. Yeah, it's when Catelyn arrests Tyrion. It's when Catelyn arrests Tyrion.
There you go. All right, you guys. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Really enjoyed everyone. See y'all next week. Oh, everybody, tell everybody where you can be found again. I'm Lady
Everywhere.
Jen. I go by Jen. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter as Jennifer Wolverton 1976.
So I'm on Twitter as Sarah Charles 930, but I have like a private account and I don't really post a lot. So I'm like, just come fucking hang out on Thursday night. Yeah, that's where you find me. Next.
Go ahead, Rick.
I'm Ricky Hunt on Twitter. Let me know. Whatever.
I'm 1,000 brands in one. I'm everywhere.
All right, I just want to thank everybody again who tunes in or who will listen to this later. And may you have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you next Thursday.